Hey, we're going again with one of my oldest and dearest friends in the film industry, makeup artist, writer, director, my friend, Randy Daudlin. Thanks for being here, brother.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure. My pleasure.
Man, it's awesome. Yeah, thank
Can
you.
you taste the rum yet?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Glad I ate a big breakfast.
Hey, cheers.
Hey, cheers. Yeah, totally.
Cheers.
We don't have to clink across
we
the
don't
table,
have
but
to.
cheers, Randy. Thanks for being here, man.
Well, thanks again for having me, like I said.
Hey, so listen, makeup artist, what does that entail? People are going to want to know. Tell me what you do, and then we'll get into how it all started and why you do it and where we're going.
Well, I do pretty much everything. I take care of the actors. We're basically babysitters.
Okay, enough said.
To me, makeup's a collaborative thing. I'm an extension of the actor's arms. I help them become the character they want to be for any show. So it's not me dictating you have to wear this shade of lipstick or blush or this scar or whatever. I'm totally hands-on. This is our thing. I'll help you become the thing you want to be. Keeping in mind, I also have to be aware of production and what it's going to cost.
Sure, of course.
How long it's going to take.
Right.
And things like that. But, yeah, I'm just an extension of the actor.
So no, I've never thought of it that way.
Yeah, me neither. I was just thinking
That's brilliant. Because when I go into a makeup room and they're putting makeup on me, I just think that's what they do, and it's dictated by them. Do you ever confer with the actors?
Yeah, I mean, even for a general look, like the last show I did was Ginny in Georgia for Netflix, and the lead character, they change her makeup with every change of clothes. So my mirror is just pictures
Oh, my.
because we don't shoot anything in order. So as soon as I see what wardrobe
Sure.
she's wearing, I know what the look is for that day or that sequence. But right down to whatever shade of eyeshadow makeup, we discuss it. It's like I give her, okay, here's a palette. I know what production wants. Your character stays within this range. So I go out and get 50 shades of a certain red lipstick because her character's known for red lips and only she on the show can wear them because that's her identifying mark.
Absolutely.
So within that palette, I give her offerings. So she feels involved. It's not me saying, oh, today we're using that one again. It's sort of like, okay, want to mix it up? We'll do this. Bearing in mind that 3 scenes from now, I may have to change her 2 more times through the day. What's not going to bonus time-wise? And
Right.
what makes it easy for me to either go up or down? So
Yeah, that's a big process.
It actually sounds kind of tricky.
continuity is a huge thing. People take it for granted because when they watch a show, they see everything in real time, not knowing that that one scene could have been parted out over 2-3 days.
Sure.
Or we ran out of time at the end of the day, picked it up the next morning, or because we're shooting, block shooting, and we're in, say, the mayor's office all day today, every scene in that office with those actors are shot, but it may cover 3 days script-wise, so people have to run out and change between scenes, redo their hair, redo their makeup.
So just real quick,
Wow.
for listeners that aren't involved in this industry, briefly, what is block shooting?
Block shooting is when, let's say you're shooting in the mayor's office and there's 4 scenes through the course of a story. We will shoot all 4 scenes in the same day in that one location. So it's called block shooting because then we're done with the mayor's office and then move to the next location.
So we only need the location for one
One
day
day,
or
exactly.
whatever time, and then move on.
Yeah, within the course of a 30 or 90-minute program, it'll be intercut.
And they've
Right.
planned so many wardrobe attires and
Yeah.
so many different hairstyles. And
Yeah, it's all pre-planned. We have production meetings. We talk about it. Then I have my mini meetings with the actors and get their 2 cents. Cause
I thought it was just stunts that had meetings.
yeah.
No.
So do you collaborate then with wardrobe and hair and sort of
Yeah.
see how we're all going to form this?
They send us previews of what the actors are wearing, and then the actor and
Okay.
I sit and look at the wardrobe and go, okay, these colors would complement this. Same with, even if it's when I'm doing special effects makeup and someone's getting wounded or shot. Well, if you show up all in black, I'm going, no,
Can't see it.
can't see anything. Either put a beige or a blue shirt or something lighter so that you can see the injuries. Because sometimes if it's a body hit, the blood is the only way to indicate the
That it was a
actual-
hit.
That there was a hit at all.
Yeah, because otherwise the wardrobe moves with them. So to put an actual wound on is redundant. So the only way I can express my part of it is I need colors that'll work with me. But if someone shows up all in black, all you see is a glint of light off the wardrobe if they light it right.
Right. So now you confer. You talk to the director, and the director comes up and he says, "I have a color palette in mind for this movie. I'm going to deal with these 3 colors basically." And then he deals with wardrobe, and you all deal together. And
Yeah.
I've never thought of it that way before. That you're an extension of the actor. That's really neat.
Well, that's
I can't wait to tell somebody that I'm a stunt coordinator, and it's just an extension of the actor.
Well, it's my approach to my job.
No, it's great.
But because again, it's like we're there to help. We're part of a machine, and we're just a cog in the machine.
Right.
So
For sure.
you can't make it about you. I mean, I paint faces. Like, come on.
Yeah. Well, I've seen you do a whole lot more than just paint faces, brother.
It's not brain surgery, but it's also the path of least resistance. You need, when you're meeting an actor for the first time, you have basically 5 minutes to establish a relationship. It's either going to go in your favor or it's
Or
going
not
to
at
go
all.
totally down the toilet. The shows I do now are large shows, so I tend to have a team. So traditionally, the head of the department does 1, 2, and 3 actor. Then your key does 4, 5, 6, and so on down. You break it up that way. Or if you have a lot of characters with big personalities, you have to basically marry a personality with part of the team. And even for me, being head of the department, I can meet someone going, this is not going to work. Number 2, you got this one. Because you will work together better. Your
Oh, that makes wicked
personalities
sense.
have- so when you get into makeup and it gets bigger and bigger, you're a psychologist, you're a color theorist, an esthetician,
Yeah.
you name it.
Love it.
You have all these hats you have to wear that are beyond what you do. Your job's actually at the bottom of the list.
Yeah, and like you're one of the first persons they see at any given day.
Yeah, wardrobe, makeup, and hair are the earliest departments in. I always love it when the camera department are whining about the 12-hour day. I'm like, dude, I was here 2 hours before you showed up. It's
Yeah,
like,
and like same with me. Like I show up good 7-8 hours after you do,
Yeah.
and then I leave good 6 hours before you do.
Yeah, and he always calls me and complains
I
about
know.
traffic.
I spent an entire hour there. That's wicked.
That's cool. So how often is it that you get like a lead, and I mean the director has their say as well. I mean,
Yeah, it's this wicked balance. Like on Ginny and Georgia, the showrunner and the writer had a huge say in everything that went into the show. So it was like running interference for the actor, or like one actor in particular didn't like where they were going with their character or the look. So then I became her spokesperson to
oh wow,
try and steer them to make her happy, but also meet what they wanted.
Interesting. And were you successful?
To a degree. I mean, it's a give and take. In the end, both parties were happy, but that again becomes, people don't know that is part of your job.
I do imagine that
That's
a good showrunner wants the actor to have their best performance, and without a doubt, I've certainly gotten to like a Halloween costume, and suddenly I'm like in the mirror trying to be that person for just 5 minutes before I go out. An actor sits down in a chair and they actually request certain things from you in hopes that it'll enhance their ability to get into the character.
Yeah, you certainly wouldn't have they wouldn't give you the best performance if they're not feeling comfortable.
Exactly. So our job is they have to leave us happy. Like at the beginning of the day, the saying is, if they leave us miserable, the day is done before we've even started, because you're going to be fighting the entire. So
Yeah.
they have to leave us happy. What you guys do to them after they're out of my truck?
Yeah, I just shoot them.
Yeah.
Oh, can you say that? No, can't you say? Oh, we don't shoot actors. We photograph them. That's fascinating. I never thought of it that way.
That is fascinating. Yeah, me neither. I mean, as a stunt guy, obviously, I've not had this opportunity. Could you just lighten up here?
Well, even the scars. A good example is Sean Doyle in the last season of Cardinal.
Yeah.
He has a slash here through
Right.
his face. And he was supposed to have been a pretty boy who went to prison, comes out bitter, whatever, and he got scarred up a bit. So we had a thing where his nose had been broken multiple times, but he had this gash here. And we were trying to figure out what he wanted. I mean, I love that show because I pretty much had carte blanche. They would let me do
It was a great show.
whatever I wanted.
Great team of people to work
Yeah,
for.
Cool.
They trusted you in meetings when you asked for something or spoke up, even if it had nothing to do with your department, like even writing wise, if you thought, okay, that wouldn't happen in reality, someone got a little sloppy, they'd go, oh yeah? Now go, yeah, it's like this. They would change it. Like you had a say, which was amazing. But Sean told me this story about his mother playing with his aunt when they were kids, frisbee with a soup can, and the aunt threw the can and it sliced the mother's face, and she had a scar her whole life. So we went through my box of stuff, and I went, okay, this one's for Mom, and that's how he has this scar.
Oh,
through his
wow.
face
Oh,
there.
cool.
So I said, now when you go into your EPK and whatever, you
Yeah,
have a
you
story
have a
to
story.
tell.
That's awesome.
And he loved it.
That's
'cause
great.
Then suddenly him and I are on a different level, and he totally trusts me. And even we went on set, the producers are like, I don't know about that. That looks... And then 10 minutes into shooting, you don't even know it's there. Because I underpainted it so it doesn't draw attention to it.
Right.
So it's very subtle, perfectly blended, but it's there all the time.
But it adds to his character
Mental
inside.
part, and also
Absolutely.
when you look at him, you go, oh yeah, like something bad happened to this dude. He hasn't had a good life. So little things like that. It's like, so you help them, again, like I said, become that character they're trying to be.
I love knowing that
That's cool.
you're doing that. That's just a part of the whole collaboration and making a movie.
Well, that's
I love that.
the part that it's enabled me to endure 38 years of doing
Right,
it.
yeah.
I love that I like creating characters. It's not just, there's a decision for everything you do. It's like, even if it seems a lame set of eyelashes or whatever, they are there for a reason. Like, it's not random choices. So, even though they do seem random sometimes.
So wow, 38 years. How did it all start? What made you want to do this, or did you want to do something else and you fell into this? How did it happen?
I blame my wife.
I blame my wife too, and has nothing to do with stunts or anything.
Well, no, my wife actually...
She left the room. I'm going to blame her. So.
When I met my wife 40 years ago, I was studying classical animation at Sheridan College. And in my late teens, I didn't have the discipline to draw the same character 5 million times because they didn't have computers back then. That's how old I am. Everything was done by hand. But I loved the story writing. And when I met my wife, she said she saw more movies in the first 6 months with me than she had in her entire lifetime.
That's funny. I get the same
Love
story.
that. Yeah.
I've always loved movies. And even as a kid, I always drew. And I wanted to be a illustrator for Marvel Comics. But the story aspect was my strongest point. I loved writing and creating characters even then. So when I met her, you couldn't buy a job. It was a recession. I got out of school at the worst possible time. Ended up in an emblem factory designing crests for hockey teams, football teams, you name it. The youngest guy, the next one above me, I think I was 21. The guy closest to me in age was in his 30s, so we had nothing in common. I hated every day of it. She suggested, why don't you do makeup? And I looked at her and go, makeup? Are you daft? Do you know where I come from? You either work in a factory or you're a farmer. This will go over really great with my dad. the cliche alpha male. Oh yeah, my son does makeup. And she said, no, you like all these horror films, the monsters. I go, that's not makeup. That's a whole different level. So she found a guy who actually taught makeup out of his loft, Jack Medhurst, sweet man who's passed on. He worked at a Ryerson, and at night his side hustle was teaching makeup. It was more theatrical, but it was an introduction. So her and I actually took the first 2 courses together, and the more off the wall it was, the more I naturally gravitated to it and realized I had a whole skill set I didn't even know. So I bled him for every ounce of information I could get out of him. Then after that, I bought every book I could find on prosthetics and special effects at the time because it was a burgeoning thing.
Sure.
The only shops in town were Gord Smith's and mine, and I didn't even know what I was doing. The great thing about it was VHS had just come out, so you had this huge need for product. So everyone and his mother was making a film. So basically, I taught myself how to make molds, how to run foam, the whole thing, just trial by fire. And I got all my experience doing these terrible, terrible movies. My first one was a Vietnam action film. I don't even know how I got a lead on it. I can't remember, but I did.
It's at Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said, do you have any gags? They go, well, we'd like to cut a guy's throat, but, I said, I'll do it for free, but once. And the next movie, you have to pay me. And I did. So my first gag, I worked with an effects guy who was doing all the explosions. He helped me rig my first bloodline. And we shot blood 10 feet in the air, and I made his neck open up.
That's
and
wicked.
that was my inauguration.
Really?
Yeah, and then from there, I found other things. And I think my big break, again, was my wife. She worked for a company called Adcom Electronics. They built all the editing suites, the major ones in the city, the one in the Dome. Anyone who was anyone, they built their stuff. And she was dealing with a company called Pallet Productions, and they had swapping out equipment. And she overheard a conversation in the background that they were actually shooting a movie through their company. And she said, are you crewed up? And the guy goes, I don't know, but if he wants a job, send him like now. So I shot over there, and it was a movie about how to make a really bad low-budget film called Splatter, The Architects of Fear, which is actually a cult classic now.
Really?
And me and Tim Mogg, Tim had one other credit, I think Night Shift, a bad vampire movie. And I had no real credits at that point other than the little gags I did on little projects. So it was my first.
I love this.
So Tim wasn't that good at actually making stuff, but he was a great front guy. He could talk, where I was totally the opposite. Back then I was built like a fire plug, but I was quiet, but I like to make shit. So he would run interference because they gave us a list of stuff, but the list kept growing constantly. So as fast as I could make stuff, they would shoot it. We snapped an arm off in an elevator. We had a stripper dry hump a guy against the wall and his head explodes. So I had to make exploding heads. One character was like a bad host he was blind in one eye. So he had this piece that covered his eye, and we made a tenture. His character's name was Fang. So he had one fang, and he had a glass eye in the prosthetic, which I'd point in a different direction all the time to see if anybody was paying attention. And stupid shit like that.
What do you think when you look back at something like that? I mean, obviously
You've
it was your
learned a
early
lot.
work and you've learned a lot, but that must make you pretty
That
proud.
was fun. Well, it was years later. There's a fellow makeup artist, Craig Ryan French, who's up and coming and big in the industry now. He said that film was what got him into makeup. So when you look at that,
Really?
you go,
No
okay,
way.
maybe it wasn't a waste of time.
That's awesome.
So yeah, when you look at your body of work over a lifetime, I mean, it was what it was for the time. We literally were making it up as we were going along. I mean, the big difference between today and then is that there's schools. So, I mean, I was out of pocket buying stuff, going through material like crazy, figuring out the ratios, because you'd read the formulas in the books. Well, they always leave something out. So it was either the proportion of the gel you put in, and then it's chemistry. depending the time of year, being in Canada, when you're trying to run foam in July, when it's 120 with humidity, and then goes to minus 30 in the winter, the recipe doesn't work for both months. You have to adjust your whipping times. I mean, and we're talking foam rubber and a lot of really toxic chemicals that we were knee deep in, never mind health stuff. How I have a kidney and a liver now is beyond me, just from the toxicity. I am allergic to a lot of chemicals now, but we don't use any of that stuff now.
Right.
Now we use medical grade silicones, and so everything's evolved so much down to the paint. Back then it was grease paint with castor oil to make it paint the rubber and stuff. Now we use alcohol-based palettes where I paint you once and I don't have to worry about you touching yourself and moving it
Yeah.
or sweating it off. I mean, and those are only within the last 15 years, but within that, people are refining it. The bloods, we have drying bloods, we have, paste bloods. There's a spectrum of colors. It's like, so all our old recipes they're great to have, but we don't use any of that
Now,
stuff
some of that
anymore.
old school stuff, though, the guys are using, like, they're kind of still doing that, just shooting stuff with their iPhones or whatever, trying to build these horror movies and things like that. And those are extremely popular.
Well, we still use a lot of the principles of the old stuff. It's just we have better product to use with them that make it more effective.
Okay.
And also, remember, we were the pioneers. Nobody did the stuff. Now there's Savini has books. Stan Winston has a school. You can go online and get a tutorial on how to do anything with YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
And Instagram, whatever. There are people all over. I mean, I've written 3 books. I mean, it got to the point where...
Speaking of your books, did you...
Yeah, I brought them.
No, yeah, I want you to show them, but did you add everything into the recipes?
Yeah. When I made them...
He said earlier that they
Oh,
leave
yeah.
something
No,
out.
that would be companies when you're buying foam and stuff, because they're to get you to buy more.
Oh, okay.
They wouldn't tell you everything, wanting you to screw up, so you would
I
have
have to keep buying more.
So
Jeez.
between technicians, we would swap and say, okay, only use 4 grams. If you go over, it's going to kick in the bowl. You're never going to get it out, or it'll collapse in the oven. What's the temperature today? I mean, that's the one great thing about it is that back then we were all babies and we would help each other.
Right.
And I found as the years got on and they became more rivals,
Yeah, it's competition.
there's cliques. It's like high school.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm happy doing more normal makeup. It got to the point where I got out of just doing prosthetics because, one, people don't realize you have to pay for a studio. I had a 2,000 square foot studio. Whether I work or not, that rent comes every month on top of my house and my feeding my family and everything else. So you can go in debt real fast if you're not working. And prosthetics was cyclomatic. It'd be really popular and there'd be tons of work and then it would dry up. When CG came out, for a year we were all struggling because these companies would make deals with productions and they tried to do everything computer graphics and eliminate us completely. Or they would say, oh yeah, we can do it. Well, CG blood still looks like crap. I don't care who's doing it.
It absolutely does.
The real stuff will beat it any time.
Same with CG fire and doing stunts.
So they realized you have to have this marriage. And also we can do it way faster than some guy at his computer. Yeah, it may look brilliant, but it'll take him a year to write code and build a model and make it move, or I can just do it.
And the cost has to be astronomical
Sure.
with the CGI.
Yeah, because you're paying for a year of labor with us. They give us a deadline. We need it in 2 months or a month or something ridiculous, and that affects the quality. But nonetheless, we will get it done in that amount of time, and you can shoot it, move on. Now, if you want to enhance it later, you always have that option.
True enough.
Yeah, I'm with you. Even if they use like a dummy or it looks incredibly silly or something like that, for some reason, just practical work always looks so much
much better.
nicer.
Always.
Agreed.
Yeah. Now, speaking of Marvel, have you ever done a Marvel show or movie or anything like that?
The closest I got was I was the key set prosthetics for season 1 of The Boys.
Okay.
And that was insane. I love it.
It is a really cool
I
show.
read all the books. I tried to get on his head of makeup. I couldn't. And then my friend Paul Jones got the effects contract, and he said, "Would you be my key?" So
Well, that's nice.
I got.
Paul's a good
I still
guy.
got my wish, and we did all the fun shit anyway. So
Yeah.
it was great.
That's cool. That is a very cool show.
Yeah.
You been on The Boys?
No, I've not been on The Boys. Every friend I have, though, in the business has. It's the one show I've
me.
not been on.
Yeah, no, it's wicked. It's crazy. It's the anti-superhero show.
Right.
And the cast is amazing, and they have money. Like Amazon, it's one of their star shows. They pay. It's like C for Apple. Just make it rain. It was like crazy, and you're going, okay, this show does not need this kind of money. Just watch them hosing the walls with it. I could have made 10 shows.
You know, though,
with
given
budget.
the,
totally.
I mean, I'm not a, I like the old comic books and stuff like that, but I don't like where Marvel has taken most of their movies. I find it pretty silly.
The new guy who's steering the ship, you can tell, isn't one of us who grew up on comics.
Oh, no.
Like the She-Hulk, I get that. That's intentionally supposed to be funny. But the last two Thor movies, I want to punch him in the face. It's like, I hate them both. They are.
Yeah.
Kevin Braun directed Thor. He made it like the book. It was serious. I mean, this is a Norse god. Now, Asgard's been destroyed and nobody cares. It's like, and all they do is do one liner after another, and the characters are over the top.
It's all
and
jokes, and
Yeah,
it's like a big cartoon.
I mean, what made Marvel stand out over DC was the level of writing and the characters. Now they're just turning it all into a joke. They just think we do anything, slap some guy in a suit, it's
Yeah.
a printing press to
Yeah,
make
it's all the
money.
same.
Yeah.
Every movie's like the same. So I like that about The Boys. Is Deadpool? What's Deadpool? Is that DC?
Nope.
No, that's Marvel. Okay, but see, that's cool. Like I like that they kind of took like a darker, adulty.
That you
way.
can thank Ryan Reynolds for. That was his champion way back when they made Wolverine, and he played a bastardized version of Deadpool, which he hated, where they saw his
Right.
lips and eyes closed. And he almost got fired off of that show numerous times because he goes, "This is not Deadpool. This is bullshit." And they're just
Good.
like, "You're getting paid. Shut up. Do your job." That's why even
That's the problem right
in
there.
Deadpool, he makes jokes about how shitty that movie was.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Because nothing's off limits for him. But he championed for several years before he got, and it was the first R-rated, because it had to be. I mean, that is Deadpool. Deadpool in the comic books is Ryan Reynolds. And that was his favorite character. And he said, either we do it right or never do
Oh,
it.
don't do it.
And so now
Yeah.
it's like no one will get it away from him.
I just heard a rumor he might be buying the Ottawa hockey team.
Oh, yeah.
Like the Ottawa Senators, like
Whatever.
the NHL
I'm
hockey
not a
team.
hockey fan. I don't know, but if that's their
That would
name,
be the Senators.
Well, that's the NHL hockey team. Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
he bought that Van City, the soccer club, so...
Oh, really?
yeah.
I suppose if I was Ryan Reynolds, I'd buy some stuff. You know.
Well, he does a movie. He takes a year off, raises his kids. He's been hounding Hugh Jackman for 6 years. He finally got him to come out of retirement as Wolverine. So that's the big Deadpool 3.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't going to do Deadpool 3. Him and the head of Disney were just, again, this new guy, Kevin Feige, isn't it? Feige? Whatever.
Is it Kevin Feige?
FAAG.
No, F-I-E-G, Feige?
Oh, I know him. Yes.
F-I-E-G?
Yeah, whatever.
Feig.
Anyway, they had total different ideas about Deadpool. So this guy wanted to make him more like Free Guy, which is, more family friendly. And
Yeah.
Randall's like, no, we have an audience. Deadpool's a pervert. It's like, we're going this way. And I think what clinched the deal when Hugh said, okay, I'll do it, but we do it your way. And then the other guy kind of got pushed to the side. Either we do it Ryan's way or we don't do it at all.
I respect that. That's good.
So,
Yeah, huge respect for that. Thank God.
and also he tried to get Hugh in the second one, well, all three actually, but Hugh was either busy or it wasn't quite right. And
Dancing and singing and something
but
else.
they have this fictitious feud where they're rivals, where they're actually really good friends. So it's been this.
Well, you're not supposed to let
joke.
that stuff out.
Everybody knows.
Listen, Randy, shut up. What are you here to talk?
And spill the beans about actors' lives. Wow. Well, that's cool. Now, that's really cool. I like that. I've never seen a Marvel movie in my life.
Yeah, you have.
what-
You've seen
what?
one.
What?
I don't know. Iron Man,
I haven't.
Ant-Man,
No.
Thor.
Nope.
What's another man?
Captain America.
Captain America.
That's actually a good one. If you
Avengers?
like war period stuff, it's got that mix because it's an
on,
origin
Randy.
story. So that
not
one's
that
good.
good.
I like that.
There's too many Randys on this book.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I couldn't get behind the Marvel thing. I'm a much simpler guy when it comes to movies. It's funny. I mean, we work in action, but I like an action movie, but I'd rather sit and watch like a romance or something like that.
A really
I know.
good story.
Yeah, a really nice
Well,
story.
but I mean, that's the whole beauty of movies. That's what draws us. One week you're doing Guardians of the Galaxy, going somewhere in a different world where nothing is real just to escape. The next you're watching, Hacksaw Ridge, where it's based on a true story.
Right.
Totally.
And you're totally
Yeah.
drawn into that.
Yeah.
Some biopic, or it's just, like you said, just a really touching love story that makes us cry like babies at this age, going through mental pause. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've said it before on other podcasts. I mean, if you're not making me cry or laugh or frightening me,
Exactly.
it's hardly worth watching. And Marvel doesn't do that for me at all. Any of
But
it.
that's okay. That's
Oh, no, I'm not knocking them. I
million-
have a lot of friends who love those
billion
things.
people on the planet, and we all like different things. But,
Right.
I mean,
Absolutely.
What always drew me to film is exactly what you said, an emotional response. I mean,
Yeah, big time.
I used to love Burt Reynolds, all those old Burt Reynolds movies, like from The Longest Yard, Deliverance, all those. People we're going.
We
"Hey,
like all the
whatever
Reynolds."
floats your boat, or Clint Eastwood, the
Totally.
early ones from them. Any Which Way But Loose with
Yeah,
the
totally.
orangutan Clyde and all
Absolutely.
those stupid things. But then you would see out of Africa or some Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, The Godfather. I mean, those are as diversely different as you can get. But
100%.
they're all amazing stories, and they draw you emotionally. And our jobs, be it stunts, makeup, whatever, it's the same thing. We contribute that. It's like through my makeup, if a woman's melting down or whatever, I add to her emotion, help her get over that ridge. And she's, a hot mess, and you're like totally captivated. Or it's a horror film, and I'm making you throw up in your popcorn. It's like, it's all in the day's work.
Yeah, you can't
He
ruin
makes
that
it
popcorn.
sound so
man.
simple.
So when as a stunt guy, you don't want to be noticed, let's say, or you're doing your job better if it looks like the actor's doing the job.
Yeah. Well, when you're doubling versus you're a character
Right.
doing your
Well,
job
yes.
as part of the production.
Yeah, yeah, and you don't want to make it look like a stunt. You want to make it look like the real shit just happened,
Yeah.
right? For you, that scar, let's say, on Sean, it must feel good to, let's say, the makeup isn't so noticeable. Mm-hmm. I imagine your wife has looked at something and went, "Is that scar real?" And you go, "No, I gave it to him." That's kind of cool. That must be.
Yeah, it's like
That's
a
rewarding.
classic is Out of Africa. When it first came out, people thought all the Nairobi actors with their earlobes with all the hoops and stuff, they were real. Like, where would you find people in
Just a second.
Swaziland who can act?
Just a second. Are you telling me they weren't?
They weren't.
Yeah, but you know how many
What,
times I
just-
watch them.
So, but that's
I watch
the
movies like
beauty
that.
of our
and even I
job.
think
When
that.
people look and go, you just accept it. You don't even question it. Then we've done our job. We've accomplished what we
Yeah.
set out to do. That you totally think that guy's nose looks like that. It's bent
100%.
sideways. He's a boxer, like Jake LaMotta's story with De Niro. From the fat makeup to whatever, you see him going through all these stages, and you totally,
It's incredible.
yeah, it's like, I mean, he did gain some weight, but still with all the prosthetics, you don't go, oh, he's wearing makeup. You're totally drawn into the story. That just becomes, that's Jake. You just accept it.
It's incredible.
And when that happens, you've done your job.
I just recently saw a picture of Marianne Stevens, stunt girl, that you, from head to toe, man.
What was it?
What? Yeah, tell me, what was it for?
Lullaby, a horror film. It's I don't think it's been released yet. It's going to soon. I had to turn it into a 100-year-old crone. Paul Jones
Oh.
designed the makeup, but I put it on every day. And
Was she
then-
doubling or just?
No, she
Was the character.
character.
Oh, fuck
So
yeah.
yeah, it was a. We got the paint job down to an hour and a half. It took me a couple hours because they wanted to go old school. She wore contacts and a Rasta wig, but her age makeup was all hand painted, all the lines, and then she
Wow.
had an animatronic arm that dragged on the ground, and I could make it lift, point. But they kept forgetting it's not real. They always wanted her to pick things up. I go, it can't pick shit up. It's like, it can point and scratch and move up and down, but quit trying to get her to pick shit up with it. You're going to break it.
But it
It's
looked
not-
amazing, Randy.
and
Great
then
job.
Then she had a silicone glove for this hand for the grabbing and all the other stuff. So, I mean, it worked because it's a really creepy horror film with stylized lighting and stuff. So the makeup didn't look like makeup. It looked like real wrinkles, and you totally bought into it. And also, she's a character from a book, and her job is to steal babies. So it was like the character in the book was suddenly alive, and she did an
Okay, so-
amazing job with it too.
That's great.
So this was originally a book.
No, it's a movie.
Oh,
Within
okay.
the movie, you buy this, you get this book of lullabies. When you read the lullabies to your baby, you open a door
To allow this crone in.
crone in, and then she comes and steals the babies and takes them back to where she
Fascinating.
comes
How
from.
collaborative was this with the director, writer, and anyone else?
Well, Paul had all those meetings. I was again for that one. I was the hand. Paul designed the makeup with them. I don't know why they decided he wanted this old school look, so it was a paint job. I think part of it was budget, but I don't, at the same time, not so much, because we made animatronic puppets. She had an arm.
Right, so there was some cash available.
Yeah, and there was like other little creatures within the film we made. So the money was there, but for a stylized look, they decided to do her face, this old school paint job, which was really effective
Yeah,
because
looked
Mary
really good.
Ann's middle-aged. She's not old, but she's not a kid either. So she had some character lines that I was able to enhance and work with the makeup. Then the rest was we just winged it. And
Interesting.
she was,
Now, the movie's not been released, so for those who will see it in the future, Lullaby, what's the time frame from the initial, let's say, chat with the director to create this character to creating it?
I think Paul had something like 8 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Because, I mean, he had to make the arm, and there was these little creatures that our department had to design. So I'm sure between him and them refining the artwork, because that artwork also became bits of the book and different stuff. So you needed that leg time. I mean, when you're doing a lower budget movie, the more prep you can have.
Yeah, I was going to say 8
The
weeks
better.
doesn't sound long.
No, that would be just for him to manufacture. So
Okay.
in total, I don't know. I
Wow.
could say maybe 10. They'd have initial meetings, then swap artwork back and forth, and then he does, so many sculpts on the other things, get them to sign off on it.
Mm-hmm.
The makeup, it was up to him to find someone, do some airbrushing and whatever, and test the makeup, and then work out the bugs. And then when he got to me, then it was like teaching me to do it. And then between the two of us refining it, because obviously once I do it, I'm going to add my spin to it and
Sure.
take my own shortcuts, because I'm the one who has to do it every day for a month. So
Very cool.
so as long as I
It looked amazing.
stuck to and the hard part about that too is because it's all hand painted, making it look the same every time
Right.
is really hard.
There's those continuity
Because
photos.
it's all hand painted lines. It's
I couldn't
not like-
imagine. She has to go
it's not
home and
like
go to sleep.
Slapping on a prosthetic that's pre-painted and everything's sculpted into it. This is way more difficult.
Right.
Because, I mean, you're given a certain latitude because how it's lit and stuff, no one's going to notice that if it changed slightly between scenes, but it has to
Sure.
at least in general really match. So
Is that something that if do you know that maybe they're just going to do a close up today, so you only have to do a portion?
no, in a character like that,
You never know, right? And
yeah, and they lie. It's just like,
That's true.
a
They
friend of
totally,
mine-
totally.
a friend of mine did a show called Zombie Town, and they have a huge, and again, no budget, whatever. So I designed a makeup for them. I originally was going to do it, then I had to bow out.
Is that the one in Sudbury?
Yeah.
With Chevy Chase and
Yeah. So
Randy Lee was the art director.
yeah, cool. So they have a scene in a theater. There's like 50 zombies. They only wanted to paint the people in the front row. No one will notice in the back. And
Oh,
the
good
key's
Lord.
normally my assistant. She took over when I had to step out. I said, you paint everybody in that theater. The ones in the back, don't worry about the detail, but it's such a high contrast look. They will know if you didn't paint them. Do not listen to those schmucks. I've been down this road and gotten stiff
that's
before.
experience.
So you listen to me, not to
Right.
them, and you stick to your guns and you paint every single person in that theater.
Have you seen the footage?
She sent me stills on the day from the monitor. So she stuck to her guns and they did it. And they
That's
were
awesome.
happy.
Cool.
It was just like,
Randy Lee, she's always, for those listening and watching, my daughter, she's always wanted to be a zombie in a movie.
Oh, yeah?
It's the funniest thing. So they needed a zombie lady to walk across the street with a baby buggy. They made it up on the day. And so the producer asked her, "Do you still do stunts?" Yeah. There she got. So they painted her up and she walked across the street and almost got hit by a car and got her a zombie in the movie.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
I've been lucky. I've done a lot of zombie movies. I think my favorite still is Zack Snyder's remake of Dawn of the Dead. It was
Right.
the first time I got to work in a truck with 12 other prosthetic guys.
Yeah.
And then every day was a friendly competition. It was like, and also we had a room that was about the size of this with shelves with prosthetics. So it was a race to get there because we were allotted X amount of stuntmen that were your actors. But every day he wanted them to look different. Well, this movie went on for like 4 months. Like, how many different ways can you make
Paint a
somebody
zombie.
into a zombie? So that became the hardest part of the film was changing. Well, and on the Jewel, that's Blair. That's my makeup to him when he gets shot in the head in the street.
Oh,
Oh,
like
cool.
on the disc.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's my little. So
And you
I-
know that's Randy. Eh? That's on the front poster of like the European and
All over the world. Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah,
Crazy.
so my little thing on the Jewel on the CD.
Oh, that's very cool. And that's Blair. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember it with the teeth. And,
Yeah, and that's my makeup. So that was one of my zombies. So.
right on.
Sweet. How often are you button heads with a director or anything like that?
It happened. Well, Cardinal, the last season, one of the characters is suspected of killing someone when he's not. So the killer meets him in the parking lot. He's being transported. He knocks the cop out, stabs a guy in the back, and then lowers him into the cop car
right.
and gets away. So when Cardinal and Delorme show up, the director wanted me to paint the inside of the car with blood. And I went, no. He's like, pardon? I go, no. It's black. He's laying down. He was stabbed in the back. You're not going to see anything. It's minus 30 out. I am not doing that to the actor.
That was that freezing rain
Wow.
night.
Yeah.
That was a crazy night.
And Steve Cousins, the DP, snickering because this is a new director. And he's like, and I'm like, I'm not doing it. And I go, if you have a problem, go talk to the two producers because this is BS. It's like you're making people suffer for no reason. If we were going to see it and it were white seats, no problem. But you got, and also they liked a darker shade of blood because it's less graphic. You can get away with more. It's a graphic show. And on top of that, they were adding blue to make everything look colder. So I already know you're
It
never
ain't
going to
gonna work.
see anything. So why are we doing this? So yeah, I've outright, as I'm getting older, now I'm cantankerous. And if it's a really stupid request, I have no hesitation to go, no. But as long as you have logic to back your argument,
Absolutely.
they can't say no. And they just like, basically, he was like, Okay. It's like,
Well,
like a you know, a
you brought
scolded
logic
puppy.
to him,
Yeah. And I had all the reasons why.
of course.
The wound's on his back. You don't see the wound. The seats are black. The inside of the car is dark. It's dark blood, and you're adding a color that will even darken it more on top of it. So it's a waste of time. And we're all freezing our cojones off. So why would you do that to that actor? It's like you're
We're in the parking lot up in North Bay.
Yeah.
In the library parking lot, and it was freezing rain.
Yeah, it was a weird night.
It was just freezing rain. It was crazy.
Trying to move, every foot's like,
And if you're standing still for a second, the moment you move, everything crinkles.
Yeah,
because
coat.
you're all ice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy,
and
crazy
trying
night.
to move was a hockey rink,
Yeah.
skating around. So yeah, it was miserable out, and I'm going, okay, let's not add to it. It's like, there's no point.
Totally.
So yeah, so sometimes you just go, no, that's a stupid idea. I did from 2005 to 2007. I worked for a company called Peace Arch Entertainment. We did 22 horror films back to back.
Wow.
And that was my job. I was the head of hair,
Jeez.
makeup, and prosthetics. So I had a team for on set, a team in the shop, and I spent half my time in meetings telling directors what they couldn't have, because they were mostly first-time directors.
Right.
And these were all low-budget movies. I mean, I think 750 was our average. They were saying $1 million, but it wasn't. It was 750. And so you would read a script and go, okay, this is the gag we need to feature on. These are minor ones. A lot of this we can do out of kit. This, I can add a little something, something to. But that's your one money shot for the show. This is it. But they'd come in first-timers with grandiose ideas. They think they're making Apocalypse Now. And they just had me just shit all over their dreams going, no, this is what you're this is what you're getting, because this is all we can afford. This is all the time we have. I'm sorry, this is the reality. I mean, half these scripts should have never been made.
So one of two things happens if you're a first-time director. You don't bring Randy on, or you do.
Yeah.
No, because I will explain to you how to get the most
That's what I
bang
mean.
for your
Big
buck,
time.
and also educate you. Like within a script, if the killer has a knife, you do not use the same gag for every kill. You show a little bit, you show a little bit more, you save one for the big slice and blood shooting
course.
everywhere. But if you do that for every gag, the audience doesn't care. They've shut off your show and left already.
Well, if there's no build,
Exactly. So, but they don't always see it that way.
Wow.
Where we have to, every makeup tells a story. So in a case like that, I have to tell the story through the makeup and ask a million questions. How are you planning to shoot it? How are you lighting it? How are you doing this, that, the other thing? And then I determine what's the best for you for that given situation. Then having read the script and the buildup of the story, then I have to determine in these situations what the payoff was. Like sometimes you can have more than one, but generally how they were designed, there was one killer gag, and that's what we put all our money and concentration on. Like I said, and the rest, not to say I can't give you something, just I'm not giving you the whole load every time. 'Cause
Absolutely.
we can't do it.
well, it gets boring.
That and financially, again.
Well, no, of course.
We only have 750,000. I don't.
Right.
I might have 5. The amounts of money they gave you were ridiculous. Because again, the producers in this situation weren't horror guys. They just thought it was a quick way to make quick money. Put
Yeah,
minimal
that's
in, get
commonality,
maximum
sure.
out. Well, that's Saw. Saw started off with a story. And then as it went, it became torture porn because their framework is minimum in, maximum return. Like that's why they took a break. The pandemic didn't help, but on top of that, that's why Saw became crap. There was no more story. Just get 7 people in a room. How creatively can we kill them? That was the end of the story. So when they burned through that, they needed a break. Chris Rock approached them with an idea, and that's how it got resurrected. So Spiral is from the book of Saw, because Jigsaw is supposed to be dead. So it's influenced by it. So they had an actual story and brought it back. They're shooting number 10 in Mexico because the cheap bastards decided, because everyone was shot here.
Well,
except
the studio was
Yeah,
torn
I was
down.
in one of them.
Yeah.
I was in one of them. I don't even know which one. I've never even seen it. I have no idea.
Well, 9 was with Chris Rock. I did that one. So.
Chris Rock.
Oh,
was
that's
in
the
a
picture
Saw.
you're spraying blood on him?
Yeah.
I know the picture.
That's got to be how you.
That was the end of the day. He was miserable. He had a cold, and Bozeman added that at the end, all these glass cuts. I go, you do this. I got to do it like 8 more times because this carries on for a huge chunk of the movie. It's fine. I'm looking at Chris going, sorry, Chris.
I mean that Will Smith slap would have been a whole lot more appropriate if he was slapping him over Saw instead of
Yeah.
his wife.
And if there was blood involved.
Yeah, exactly. Lots of blood. So on the same note, I mean, how often have you rivaled with a director based on certain things, but then the director was kind of right, or maybe not director, but anybody?
Again, it's a collaborative thing. If you have a good argument, I will listen to it. It's like everybody has great ideas. They've come up with stuff where I went, damn, why didn't I think of that? Or we have last minute things where we got to jig things and they're hit with a bolt of brilliance and we suddenly simplify it and it works better. Or you show up and everything goes to shit. It turns out being one of the best days in the film because everyone suddenly has to start thinking on their feet and actually using their creative.
Their filmic skills.
Yeah,
That's
that's why I actually like low budget films versus big, because you are forced to use your brain.
Yeah, nobody's just throwing money at it.
Exactly.
100%.
And again, you find more inventive ways, or you have. That's why I like having new assistants because they remind you when you were young and hungry and new. And they tweak the things and
They're
get
bringing some freshness.
Yeah, or you go, shit, yeah, we used to do it that way, but now I can build a better monkey cage because I know that much more, but they make it simple and make you go, and the light goes off, and you go, yeah, I was overthinking this.
Okay, well, speaking of youngsters, if there was, is it worth someone wanting to do a low budget feature horror movie approaching you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get asked all the time. I won't necessarily work on it because depending on my schedule.
Right.
But I will advise you. You can either take it or leave it, whatever. I'll try to help, or I will hook you up with people that are hungry and new, and trying to get in it. And I would advise them on how to do the things and guide them. Or if I have something you need it, I'll lend it to you or give it to you.
Yeah. So either way, the young producer's going to, or the young director's going to get your expertise, not necessarily on set, but through someone else.
I do that all the time.
That's pretty wonderful.
That's awesome. Yeah.
When we were doing 5 Days at Memorial, I helped do a cleaver gag in a head for a CFC film, which at the time when I said it, this will be easy.
This was last year?
Year before, whatever.
I lecture there every year, and I think I told them how to do that.
Anyways, they didn't shoot
Remember?
it.
The cleaver in the head.
They didn't shoot it the way I told them to shoot it. It would have been better if they did it my way because I saw the final footage. I went, whatever, it's your film. Do what you want.
Would have been better if it was his way, not yours.
Yeah, they probably did it my way.
Because it's an old gag I've done a million times, but I built it. So while I'm on set, I'm carving this cleaver and everyone's looking at me because suddenly you figure, I got lots of time, and then all of a sudden I get slammed with a ton of work on set, and then we had personnel problems, and then all of a sudden I'm going, why did I ever agree to this? I'm so stupid. But, then I made it and passed it off. But you could tell talking to them, nobody knew anything.
Well, that's interesting because it's the CFC directors and CFC producers, CFC writers. And when you do speak to them, what are they teaching you here?
Yeah. Well, I dealt with the new producer, PM, and the art director, and I'm looking at him, okay, dude, your thing weighs 3 tons. You're never going to be able to adhere it because he started making something. And this guy called someone, and they said, call Randy, and he did, and I met them, and I went, okay, you can't use that. And the guy kind of got offended. I go, okay, it's called gravity. This weighs 5 pounds. You want it to stick in his head and the guy to be able to let go. It needs to weigh 2 ounces. So you got to make it out of balsa wood and all this other stuff. So I basically went to a dollar store, got all the materials, and showed them, because you can get a self-adhesive metal, almost like foil, put on a balsa wood blade, or actually a styrene blade with a balsa wood handle. It was a handle I was carving. Cut a bevel out of it, glue it, age it with some acrylic paint. In his head, we put then you stop, put a trough of blood and wax, because it's light enough, you can just stick it in there and then pour blood on his head as he's bleeding, and he just falls back, and there's your shot.
There's the lesson right there.
And it
Movie
weighed
magic.
nothing. It's an old Savini trick from the original Dawn of the Dead. Because when you're moving it through the air, you never even notice there's a bevel cut out of it. So, and you can do it backwards too. Shoot it reverse.
Wow,
The
yeah.
guy can go, and it's in his head, and he falls back. So you can almost have it already planted, pull it out, and then you play it forward, and it looks like it's getting buried in.
100%.
Does makeup ruin movies for you?
Sometimes. It's like, because my background is prosthetics, you automatically look for all the seams. You subconsciously
Oh,
do
yeah.
it. And if something's put on badly, I'm just like, okay, it takes me out of the moment.
See, I mean, I'm a stunt guy, so I can see somebody wearing knee pads. I know this guy's going to fall down. I know where the ramps are on the road when he's doing a car chase.
Or the cable dragging him.
Yeah.
You look for all that
all
stuff.
that stuff.
You don't,
But even I notice sometimes on the prosthetics, the seams and the net on the hair.
well, it's like Blonde. Very depressing. Great movie. She does an amazing job, the actress. But there was one scene I could see the lace of her wig in the front, and after that, that's all I looked for every time I saw her. Because once I saw it once, I'm like, God damn it! It's like it now became a distraction for me, because every time they did a close up, my eye automatically went to her hairline.
And with the quality of the video shooting today, you really see
you get
stuff.
Oh, yeah.
4K HD. It's like
100%.
You can't hide anything.
You guys
Yeah.
must have had to make major changes as that kind of thing come up.
Well, when I started, people who did makeup for TV were considered hacks. We were okay. And people who did makeup for films were the makeup gods, because it was blown up the size of a bus.
Right.
When we started, I had to get up at 5 a.m. to go to a movie house to watch rushes. That was our continuity, to see what we did wrong the day before, get notes or yelled at, and make sure I didn't do it again that day, there forward.
Wow.
It wasn't
okay.
like you get playback now and can run in and fix whatever you did wrong. This was film. You had to wait a whole day
Yeah, totally.
to find out that you were fired.
Totally. It's so refreshing to speak to a filmmaker that has shot on film before.
Yeah. Watching them load reels and go in the truck with the
Well,
little tent
you
and
talk
stuff.
to some very experienced filmmakers these days, and they've never shot on film.
Yeah, it's all digital.
It's fascinating.
So anyway, because film being mostly tape, it was already grainy, so there was a layer of a gauze built into your work. So they could use lights to help you and even screw with the lighting more. So you could hide an infinite amount of mistakes could be covered up. Where film, again, it's the size of a bus. It's like there's nowhere to hide. So the caliber between the two, there was always a rivalry. So as the years have gone with 57 and 75-inch TVs, there is no line anymore. It's like now, coming out of the gate, it's a level playing field. The materials we use are way more refined. You can do way more detailed work. It holds up way longer on set. You have transfers. If you can't blend a transfer, you shouldn't be picking up makeup, because they're basically glue patches with no edges. You just stick them on and just wash the edge with alcohol, and it looks like it's part of your face. After that, it's just matching paint.
So what would that be?
Unreal.
Explain to the audience what's a transfer.
Prostate transfer is basically it's a small wound or scar made out of glue. It's a prosthetic adhesive. You make it in a silicone mold, and it has a acetate backing to protect it. When you go to put it on, you either transfer it to a porous towel or a transfer paper, water slide paper, which is a cardboard with a silicone backing. So you peel off the acetate, trim the paper as close to the edges as you can get it, position it, stick it on, and use water to transfer, to get the cardboard to release, basically. Or if you're using a towelette, you'd use alcohol to get the towelette to release because it's stuck to the front. And then, again, you use a little alcohol to blend the edges. If it's made properly, you have minimal blending to do. And then the rest of it's a paint job. But they're super gooey and sticky, so you have to be careful. But they move and they look amazing, and they take seconds to put on versus prosthetics. The only time we use heavy-duty prosthetics now is when you're doing elaborate age makeup or character makeup like Gary Oldman in The Darkest Hour playing Churchill, because you're making him fat on top of aging him, and there's different stages of makeup. If you're doing a slit throat and you want blood flying, you would tend to use a silicone piece with a bladder underneath. And the bladder is basically a balloon with 1,000 holes in it, and a blood line comes up to it, so it forces the blood through the hole so you don't see it. It's not directional. It's not like a tube where it's only coming out.
Right,
It comes out of
makes
multi areas.
I mean, I love a classic tube, spraying one good vomit of blood.
Well, that depends if you've got a nick and then there's
Right, I
100
see.
ways to do it. Instead of, if you can't afford a prosthetic, you run it up your sleeve and the tube's in your hand. And basically you shoot it out and you fall off camera, and then you just turn, make sure the wound isn't facing, and the blood keeps spreading across the ground. I mean, again, you're a detective. You have to ask a million questions, and they may seem redundant at the time, but they're not.
Right.
The more information you can glean from a director, the more useful you are in your position, because
Of course.
you can make life so much simpler. My favorite is when you have 2 months and it's on the left side, and you go to shoot, and the DP suddenly wants to do it on the right. Because the lighting's better, because they've changed the set, and you're going, no, dumbass, I can't move it around to the other side of the body.
What's fun for stunts is you'll put a gash on somebody's left cheek or above their eye or something, and then I discover that I can't hit that side with the butt of the gun. I have to use the other side.
Oh, yeah.
Or
So we have to figure out how to hit him on that side.
or we've shot the ending of the fight a month before he
Oh,
shows up.
oh, believe
I've
me.
established all the injuries as the director wanted them. And I walk in, I'll go, okay, you got to hit him here, here, and here.
Exactly.
Anywhere else, I don't care.
And that's funny because then it becomes a collaboration with makeup and stunts.
No, it
Yeah,
does.
crazy.
Or you get, well, I've had it where a stunt coordinator, don't tell me how to choreograph my fight. I'm going, dude, I'm not telling you how to do your job, but your fight has to incorporate these injuries we've already established. How you do it, I don't care. Just make sure he gets hit in all these places to justify the bruises and the cuts.
Totally been
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
which sucks. I would rather do it in order and us work together,
absolutely.
and then you can give the best fight, and I can put them where they're
there. Absolutely.
going to do
Hence an issue sometimes with block shooting.
Yes, but
Well, that's
even in features, though.
That's true.
The reality. That's true.
It is
Part of our
crazy.
job.
I always think, like, I mean, anytime I'm on a show where we're block shooting something and doing 3 to 4 different episodes, and it says on my contract 103, 104, and 109, I go, what the fuck? How the hell are they organizing this shit?
And again, it's
Planning.
actor availability, location availability, like all
Yeah.
these things determine why the order of a film is filmed. And it doesn't matter if you have money or not. Rarely do you get to work on a show that shoots in chronological order. That's like
I don't think I've ever done it.
I've never
is
worked
rare.
on one.
That is really rare.
I've heard it's like an urban myth. It has supposedly happened, but
You'll find that one movie.
yeah. But in general, they don't because of that.
Usually when I hear the word chronological on set, that person gets fired immediately. Get out of here.
Well,
You have no idea what
never
we're
gonna
doing.
happen.
you can do chronological if it's in a haunted house and that's the location for the whole film and you're not moving. But
Right.
even then, why would you go from the kitchen to the living room, back to the kitchen, back to the living room? I worked with a nut bar director that had done that before. and he got fired the first weekend because we were already a week behind. Because every time you move the camera and the lights, you lose an hour.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So the whole point of block shooting is if we're going to shoot in this room and it's an elaborate daylight, say, let's shoot all the day scenes because it's a big deal to change it now to night. Then we'll shoot all the night. Now, there has to be a good reason why you would couple them. If it's like a elaborate effect or something where you're going day into night and they don't want to make the actor endure 7 hours of makeup, whatever, twice, we will book just to get that sequence out of the way, but then go back to shooting all nights, all days. Yeah, there's a lot of logical reasons why we have to do, but when you look at it on the broad strokes, it makes no sense.
Is there anything you run into that you can't do?
There's no such thing.
I love it.
You may not be able to give them exactly what they want,
Time and money, baby.
but you will give them something.
right.
It all comes down to a compromise. I mean, you have to be realistic. If you only have 5 minutes, don't ask me to take your head off in 5 minutes. But in 5 minutes, I can make it look like someone caved it in with a golf club or a bat, and using next to nothing, I'll make you believe it happened.
Crazy.
It's, again, compromising. It's about being realistic with what you have to work with and the time you have to do it.
Right.
If you can do that,
If you can still tell your story,
yeah. Like I said, you may not be able to give them what they wanted, but you can give them something to work with. I mean,
But how often does a director or a writer, producer, anybody actually know really what they want? I mean, until you come in and sort of take my words and tell me what I want.
well, that's why we
You
have
know?
a thing called pre-production.
Well,
That's where we have those discussions.
this is an interesting question about prep. Like the director has to come in prepared.
Yeah.
And like you have a physical prep, and that's fine. Everybody comes together and everybody starts prepping. But if he's had that story, his prep began far in advance of everyone else's.
If I've written and I want to direct a horror film that has a lot of casualty makeup, whatever, or burns or whatever, it's up to me to do my research, figure out what movies have the same gags I want, so I have something to explain to my effects team or makeup team what I want to physically see. And then I should have at least looked into how long does it take to do this shit? And can I do it for the budget I have for my film? Otherwise, a lot don't. They come to me and say, okay, here's my script. This is what I want. And I go, sure. Okay, you can get this and you can get that because you can't afford jack shit. It's like, but I can give you this as a compromise. It'll still look cool.
Yeah.
And if you light it right and shoot it the way I tell you. I mean, the other advantage I have is I've also directed. And my background is animation, drawing films frame by frame. Like,
Yeah.
to me, it's a giant puzzle. So as soon as I see it, where's the camera going to be? Well, once I know this is where you're starting from, I already have all the images and the pieces. It's like The Good Doctor. Suddenly, my brain opens up and I'm going, okay, this is how you're going to shoot it and how we're going to do it. Based on what you told me and where I know the camera's going. You move that camera, then everything is going to flip. Because when you get into gags and stuff, and they're spurting blood and moving things, you got to hide a technician. Like, he's got to be close enough to see, to hit his cues, when to
Totally.
trip this wire, or explode that, or spurt that.
Big time.
He can't be going blind. He needs to see. So within your shot, you have to allow for, you're either going to have to digitally erase a tube or a cable, or him. Because he's got to be close enough to be part of it. So you have to, you know, you can't shoot so wide. Get in closer. Or if you're going to do wide, why are we doing all this shit? You're never going to see it anyways. You can do it a different way.
Right.
That's, again, why you ask the 50 million questions and get down to what is it exactly you really want to see.
Yes, and that goes back to that being prepared. And Andrew's question, do you find that most directors can answer that question?
No.
That's my.
See, it is
That's why I
invaluable.
asked.
It's invaluable as as when I'm writing something as a stunt guy. And I know that if I'm going to incorporate any kind of gunfight or just a fist fight, whatever, it is obviously much better to be sort of minimal, be to the story. Tell what you need to tell for the story.
Yeah, everything's
so that when I
story-driven.
bring someone like you in, or someone like Randy Butcher in, that they can work with me, or at the very least, I can work with them on getting the best outcome and not be so. I don't know. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I'm trying to with my words, but
Well, see, the difference is you being a stunt guy, you approach your action sequence different than Joe Blow, who's just a director.
right.
Like, they have none of our skills, so they don't know. So me, having done stunts before I met your father, knowing it minimally, having a martial arts background, knowing
Cool.
what minimally can be done, having worked on a million action films and whatever, and doing what I do, when I write, I know what I can physically bring to the film, because as I'm writing the story,
100%.
my caps are spinning.
Yeah.
But the average guy doesn't. So I call it lazy writing and lazy directors who just write whatever and then basically go, make it happen. They don't take it. On rare occasion, you have crew guys who have moved up and know a little bit about what we do, but they're the smart ones who will come to you in advance and go, help me. I want to do this. How do I tell this part of the story? And they rely on us, and we do it because, I mean, you can write whatever you want. The reality is when you actually get there in the real room, it's going to change because suddenly the couch is in the way.
Exactly.
That window doesn't work for the lighting guy.
That's right. There is no statue in the corner.
Yeah, you're not going to find that ideal room that you imagined in your mind unless you're building every set yourself, and that's not going to happen. Not in reality.
I find the success of a lot of shows has a lot to do with not so much the release of the series, but the working, like the crew and all the work we've done together. Obviously, a better product comes out of a bunch of collaborative.
Yeah, it takes a
filmmakers.
village.
People having fun.
I mean,
People having a good time and creating the best work, because who doesn't want to be a professional on something that you're enjoying?
that's why I hate it when you see at the beginning of a film by. Well, it's not a film by you, dude. It was a film by you and the 100 people who supported you and got you there.
Well, that'd be an interesting credit.
My
see.
short is the only one I put a film by because I wore 40 hats and did 40 of those
Yeah,
jobs.
we're going to talk about that.
Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it now. Let's
you
talk about
you
your
keep doing that.
Well, I don't know.
Gone.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you wrote it.
I wrote it.
You produced it.
Yep,
You directed it. Probably did makeup.
I did.
Any stunt? No, I saw it. Sorry.
I couldn't even get away from my own movie.
I know, it's fun. I was there. I was there, and so okay. Why did you make this movie? And it's a short. So and tell us where we can see it. You sent it to me, so we saw it.
Well, it's right now. It's on Film Freeway. There's a link there, but it's mostly
For film festivals and stuff.
Yeah, I wanted to do the film festival experience. I'm a big person on setting life goals.
Yeah.
I set out to write a script. I wrote a script.
Yeah.
And then I got to direct my first feature. I talked them into
Oh,
directing.
yeah.
So I
That was a while
directed
ago.
a movie in 2006, and
Yeah.
then I did an okay job, and they asked me to direct another one. I wanted to write books,
Sweet.
makeup books, to give back to the industry, and so one became three.
Right.
I tried a novel. I always wanted to do it, so I wrote a novel. So I'm an international author. You name it. So I'm anti-shorts.
Yeah.
To me, for the effort and everything it takes, I'd rather do a feature
I agree with you 100%.
because there's no money in shorts. And film is a business. That's the bottom line. But I had this little story nagging the back of my head, and Gone is based on true events. That's what inspired it. And so I came up with this idea actually when we were doing the last season in Cardinal. Corinne was supposed to do it.
I remember.
And she bailed on me at the 11th hour due to personal reasons, which is fine.
Yeah, she just couldn't do it.
Never know why.
Whatever. So we did it anyways. I mean, it wasn't a fun experience. The problem is when you're doing something and you're relying on favors from other people.
Yeah.
Certain people don't pull their weight.
Did I?
Not you. And
He never pulls his weight.
and it becomes very difficult.
Yeah.
So it wasn't fun. I didn't get to do exactly what I wanted, but I got to make a movie.
Yeah.
And I got to tell my story. And
Right.
given what we had to work with, I thought we did a decent job.
I agree.
So it has a beginning, a middle, and end, which is the most important thing.
Absolutely.
Because I've seen lots of shorts where you're going, what the hell did I just waste my time on?
Yeah. The only thing that shorts do have that nothing else seems to have is passion.
Yeah.
It's the you're doing it because you love making movies and you want to see a future in making movies, and you're hoping this is either a calling card or that this is something that at the very least you got to accomplish and show off, and you know.
And that said, though, what Randy just said is incredible. Yeah, I know. I said it again.
Randy.
It's just in my head. What Randy said is very important. The beginning, middle, and end thing.
100%.
If you're going to make a short, regardless if it's a minute or 30 minutes,
100%. It still has to be a story.
You have to still be a storyteller.
Yeah, what's the point? I mean, this was 12 minutes. Yeah, we probably could have shaved a little more off of it and made it a tiny bit tighter, but not much.
I don't think so. Maybe you see it, but I don't see it being shorter.
Not much. Like I said, shaving a little bit.
Yeah.
But I had pauses where I wanted them, where people wanted them shorter. No, I needed to breathe a little more here. And once we got into sound design, that made a huge thing.
Your sound design is incredible.
Because that guy had never done that was his first Foley job.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I'd like to know who it is. We have a couple of things that we want to shoot, and I'd like to talk to this kid.
Well, he's not a kid. He's my friend Ryan Latham. He did my sound, my music for Bottom Feeder, my very first feature. And we
Okay.
became friends. I knew his girlfriend. They've since split up, but him and I always stayed in touch. So I gave him his first feature job. From that, he got other jobs, and then we've always kept in contact. And when I had this, it really has no music, but he never done Foley. And he said, I'd like to try this. And he's a brilliant musician. He can make any sound on his system known.
Well, after seeing it, I think one of the first things I said to Andrew, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the sound design is incredible.
Yeah, so him and I, because I had written, I want to hear the generator in the background, all the stuff that wasn't there, to give more to the isolation and the creepiness and all that. So it all had to be layered in and not overpower the actual scene. So there's a lot of subliminal stuff, the creaking doors and all the stuff that you want to.
But just some of the overlay of some of the sound, it was really good.
I mean, like I suppose any part of the industry, sound really makes such a freaking difference. It's
Sound
great.
is the movie.
You watch the rushes of any TV show, and most of them are going, "This is unwatchable."
Yeah, you're just
and then
cringing.
you see the color correction, and they add all the sound and music. Go, this is actually really good. But before they go, oh my god.
Well, I've always told people, especially stunt guys doing fights, the homework is pick your favorite fight, watch it, then rewind it, and then turn the sound down and watch it again.
Yeah.
And it's really quite comical because they're all misses and it's horrible.
I watched that movie, No Country for Old Men. Obviously Oscar worthy and all this other, whatever. And I literally, everyone's going, they didn't even use music. It was an artistic idea, and it was pretty cool. Well, at the end of it, I thought they should have had fucking music. This would have been great.
Gone has no music.
Yeah, you don't have.
Just in the credits at the end, but you don't need it. To me, we talked about it. We added a little and went, no, it's a distraction. Get rid of it. Because being only 12 minutes long, it was more, for people who don't know, it's about a woman who gets captured and put in this plywood cell and held for 5 days.
She doesn't get captured.
Kidnapped.
She gets kidnapped.
Oh, yeah.
There's a difference.
Oh, yeah, kidnapped. And wakes up prisoner in this plywood cell.
Yeah.
And each day represents the 5 stages of grief. And at the end, you find out why she's there. And the ending's a big twist.
And the silence of the other character is creepy as shit.
When I originally wrote it,
And they're both names Allie.
yeah, well, that was a fluke.
That's funny.
I know the actors, Ellie White and Allie Johnson.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I originally wrote it, the captor did speak. And then it was actually Corinne who said, take the dialogue out. Just give it to... It's way more disturbing if the other person doesn't.
I agree with Corinne. It's incredibly disturbing that the one doesn't speak.
Because and it's hard for Allie White, who played the captor, because she has to show her emotion within her actions, like her trepidation,
And her eyes work.
her conflict. So it was actually a harder acting part than the one who actually got to speak and emote.
Yeah. I bet she was thrilled to do it.
Oh, yeah. She
Well, I
did.
think in part a dialogue does speak emotion in its own self. And so, when you don't have dialogue to portray something that you don't get to say, that is hard.
Yeah.
Well, the beauty of Cardinal was Billy Campbell. He had long scenes where you could see exactly what was the torture he was going through, where he would just stare into Bozo Land, and that would tell the story.
But
And he
that's
was amazing.
filmmaking.
Yeah.
That's filmmaking and that's acting.
Yeah. But a real actor can tell you everything without telling you anything.
100%.
So
Love it. That is the best.
the part we were trying to do.
Do you see any of that in a Marvel movie?
No.
Thank you.
They're not that kind of movie.
It's going to keep coming up, man.
Actually, no. There are moments, depending which one you go to see. Some of
Really?
them are better stories.
Yeah, I'm not
the
gonna take
source
my chances.
material, depending on the story, is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite is when an actor forgets a line.
Hey, some of the
That's
best
a great
moments in movie history
Like-
are ad-libbed.
Yeah.
Joey in Friends. Fart sniffing acting.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, come on. It's a valid
It's no
technique.
It's no Marvel. And spit when you talk, yeah.
And hey, comedy, you can get away with so much.
Absolutely.
Comedy
Yeah,
is 90% ad-lib.
Woody Harrelson
Yeah.
from Cheers.
I worked on Men Seeking Women. They would basically follow the script for a scene, and then they would go, the director would prompt them, because you're talking comedic directors and comedic actors, and then push the scene in a different direction or see where they could go, what variations. And everybody starts spitballing. And the hardest part of that show is not laughing while they're rolling.
Right.
Because some of the best shit never got cut in. But the whole crew's like dying, waiting for the meal cut, and then you hear everybody. Or even
Love that.
the lead, he would stop in the middle of the take and go, okay, let's go.
You compose himself.
Because he would lose it in the middle, because
That's
depending
great.
on the guest star, because the guest star would start ad-libbing and they'd just crack each other up.
That's hilarious. So the movie that you wrote and directed in 2006, what's it called?
Bottom feeder.
Right. And where can anybody see that? Is it on Shudder?
It could be. I don't know. I mean, for a long time, Space was showing it. Sci-Fi. I get texts from friends every so often. Hey, Daudlin, your film's on TV again.
Wicked.
Wow.
It was one of the few that survived. Out of those 22, there was 4 or 5 that actually went on to
Oh,
make
that was with
money.
that company.
Yeah.
Oh, wicked. Good for you.
Yeah, so it was basically I sold my soul to the devil and got to make a movie.
Yeah.
Never got anything back from it. I have no idea what they do with it or anything.
Right.
It was a weird process. I wrote a really creepy script about a monster in a tunnel, sold it to them. They bought it, hired a guy to rewrite it, turn it into a comedy farce. They wanted William Shatner to be the guy in the wheelchair. He wanted $300,000 for a week, and I said, no, that's half our budget. Forget it. Gave me the script back, said make it creepy again, but don't cut out all the dialogue. We have to justify paying the other guy for his rewrite.
That's great.
So I had to try and marry his stuff in with my ideas. And so I had a week to rewrite it. And even while we were shooting, it had so much verbiage. All they cared about, it had to have 110 pages.
It's a time thing.
Yeah, which, because usually...
They had to deliver a certain length of film.
Yeah, but by the time you cut all the air out,
Right.
it ends up being a 90-minute film. So we'd be on set. The only time you have to rehearse is to block the scene just before you shoot it. It's the first time all the actors are together. You get to hear them say it out loud. And basically, okay, those 5 lines, forget them. Drop them completely. This is way too long and too slow. And I would literally story edit while we were shooting. Sizemore was great for the first 2 days.
Yeah.
But they made a deal with a show that was shooting Being Tom Sizemore at the same time.
Oh.
So he had cameras wherever he went. So,
I see. So there's a bit of an invasion here.
yeah, so he would,
Wow.
while he's ahead of the cameras, meeting you in a hallway, he would prompt you into which way a conversation should go for them, which got tedious real fast. And then I was hearing about all these antics where he'd have meltdowns at night for the other show.
Yeah.
And then...
Like purposeful meltdowns?
Yeah, because there is no reality in reality TV.
No,
it's
of
all
course.
formulated.
Yeah, God.
How long was your schedule?
We started with 15 days. I ended up with 13 because of his, and I still finished on time.
Okay.
So you knew all this going in? That he had this show?
Oh, well, they dropped it on me just as we were going in, and I went, "Are you guys on
Holy
crack?"
fuck.
3 days into production, he didn't show up.
What?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I had to reschedule an entire day, try to figure out what I could salvage and shoot.
So you didn't know his reputation prior to doing that?
Well, I did, but trying to explain to the producers, you're all asshats. It's like, why did you hire this guy?
Yeah.
And then he suddenly appears at lunch. He wants to have a meeting just with me in his trailer. He's not going to work. He just wants to meet. So I'm going, here we go. I'm getting pulled into the circus. It's not for us. It's for the other show. So I go in, sit in his trailer, go, let's just give it to me.
Oh my God.
Because you're also, now you've always ruined my day. You pooched my lunch on top of it. So you're not getting any favors from me at all. So he goes on about, about my drug problems. I go, everybody in the free world knows about your drug problems. Because it was at the apex of his descent into hell. And
That's hilarious.
so he's trying to get
my
me
God.
to give him a response. And I'm just sitting there, sure, yeah. So then he's got this assistant that has a set of double D's, mascara running down. Robert Downey Jr. said there would be days like this. In my mind, I'm going, that's why you're so fucked. Michael Madison's your best friend. Robert Downey Jr., who at the time was passing out in people's houses and like 2 of the biggest drug and alcoholic clowns you could have. He knows Gary Busey. Like every loser that was on the list were his friends. And I'm just going, oh my God. So they do their thing. And
Good on you, bud.
I look at my watch. I'm going, look, I got to go back to work. It's like basically the first 2 days were great. And they were. He did.
What did he want?
Just attention. So I go.
I mean, that's reality TV. It's attention. Right?
Yeah. So basically I said, the first 2 days were great. If you come back, terrific, we'll carry on. If you don't, I'll take the insurance hit and we'll reshoot the first 2 days.
Oh, for God's
sake. But I got to make my movie. See you later. And I left. Of course, the next morning, the entire brass shows up from the company because he shows up. He's on something, but to the point where he can function. And and the crew's on pins and needles because all the executives are there and everything. And it's slow, because everybody's afraid to do anything. So we get to the first scene, and he's behaving himself. And I look at the executive producer. I'm going, so when are you leaving? And he looks at me. I go, I'm not going to make my day. If you guys are here, nobody's, they're all, look at them.
Yeah.
It's like, leave. It's like, you're not helping me. I'm already a day.
Which is weird because it's their cash.
It's like, and we're already a day behind. So they left.
But look at the drama they're creating for the show.
Well, so he was good for that Thursday. The Friday, we're shooting the ending of the movie, where he's supposed to be strapped in a hospital bed and having a bit of a meltdown. We go through the blocking
Had a
and
lot of
everything.
practice.
Which is a
leading up
little
to this.
ironic.
Yeah.
We go through the blocking. Everything's fine, but he's asking me about a prescription to get him off the drugs that he's been taking. And I'm going, if it's legit, give it production. Someone will go to a drugstore and get it for you. Like, what the hell am I going to do? I got a job here. I'm not your errand boy. So whatever. So he gave it to a driver, whatever. Went into his trailer, changed, took the whole fucking bottle, came back to set. We start to shoot. He is in a galaxy far, far away, but he's not here.
Man.
I'm going to see this movie.
Oh, yeah. So it took me 6 hours to shoot a half a page
Holy
to get
shit.
anything I could use that would make sense. It's the ending of the movie. It's an important scene. I guess what I didn't know, he wanted to do the scene in the nude. Wardrobe had to fight with him to wear the hospital
What?
gown. Oh, yeah, strapped. That's all we needed to see. Thank you. No.
Why?
He was hitting on all the women. He was the guy who played the doctor who was interrogating him or whatever, talking to him. I gave a job in the next film because he basically would feed him lines and prompt him to get enough dialogue out of him
You
that I
owed
could
him.
actually cut a scene together. But I was losing my mind when we got the film, the scene done. I went outside and I screamed at the producers in the phone and basically said, I quit. Like, you can shove this up your ass. It's like, there's no way we're going to get through the next 2 weeks. This is impossible. And if you think I'm exaggerating, wait till you watch today's rushes.
Was it worth having him?
In the end, that weekend, the lawyers were on the phone to both sides. They weren't allowed 100 yards near me
Right.
after that. And he was fine.
So now, he was mandated, eh?
Yeah. It was supposed to be Dean Cain. And I know Dean.
Yeah,
And at the
I worked
11th
with
hour, something happened and he got a better offer, whatever. He bailed. So it was in one sentence. It went, Dean's out. You have time Sizemore.
So what they've gotten a list from distribution.
Mm-hmm.
And distribution says pick one of these 10, and they chose. And then,
Yeah, these are basically actors you can afford within your thing who the distributor says, we can sell your
100%.
piece of
been
turd,
there, done that.
no budget film
Yeah.
with. So you're forced to work with one of these actors.
Right.
And then you try to surround them with good character actors. Like, nobody on that film liked him. Literally, the rest of the cast hated him.
He doesn't sound like the overly likable
Well,
character.
He's
That's so
incredibly insecure. He's actually a really nice guy. Don't get me wrong. When he was not high, we had some great conversations. I felt sorry for him. I liked him. Like, once you got to know him, he's just a human being.
Of course.
I
And,
think
and
that-
he
of
was so worried about hurting other people and how he looked like to the public. And I'm going, dude, your problem is that. Quit worrying what other people think and just get a
Yeah.
whole new
You won't
set
be
of
worried
friends.
after this podcast.
Get a whole new set of friends.
Yeah.
Just take care of yourself, because at the end of the day, nobody gives a shit.
That's right.
All
That's-
these antics you're doing are only hurting you,
Yeah,
nobody else.
Absolutely, bud.
But yeah, the other actors couldn't stand him because he kept saying, I'm an Oscar-nominated actor. And they're like, no, Tom, you've been in Oscar-nominated films. You haven't been nominated for jack shit. So,
That's funny.
so
Speaking of jack shit, you don't like the rum?
yeah.
Drink it, Randy. You talk too
There's
much.
more over. There's more over here.
Yeah, no. I'm going to pour you.
Hey,
You guys talk amongst
Barbados
yourself for a quick
rum.
second.
This is the most I've talked.
I'm loving it.
I'm actually a
It's
quiet
great.
guy normally.
I'll put that down, and I'm gonna grab some ice. Well, we were talking about movies and makeup.
All right, we were talking about movies and makeup, but we're all back from peeing.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I was regaling you with stories of Tom Sizemore and my
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Crazy
So
experience.
now,
These are brilliant, by the
in
way.
being Tom Sizemore, do you appear at all? or-
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I was on a show in a
I'm
hotel
gonna watch that
somewhere,
tonight.
and someone called me from Texas and said, "Daudlin, you're on TV." I go, "What now?" He goes, "Sizemore." I go, "Oh fuck."
That's so
I
funny.
go, "How bad do I look?" He goes, "No, you're great. You don't do shit."
That's great. That's so good. I'm gonna watch that.
Yeah, because I mean, there was nothing I could do. I mean, like I said, after the legal crap, for the last 2 weeks, he was brilliant. He gave me what we needed. We got through it. And he's a really nice guy. At the end of the day, to me, that's
Right.
all that matters. We had a ton of other challenges in production, like the DP oversold himself. We got to shoot when we went to shoot the opening of the movie, I had this elaborate chopped up scene to build up suspense and whatever. Oh, I can't do that. It'd take like 6 hours to light it. Okay, on the tech survey, you didn't,
You just bring your mic in a bit.
that you failed to convey this. So I really had to take 3 pages and cut it down to a half page, my opening of the film.
Yeah.
And then when we cut the film, when it was done, it was 78 minutes, and the producers are looking at me. I go, "Hey, talk to the DP. There are 3 sections of this film where they couldn't light." And there was one point, I remember one day, I'm exhausted because I would shoot all day, then go back to the prosthetics because I'm still running that part of the company.
Oh, wow.
Going, "Okay, idiots, what are you doing with my monster suit? Like, why are you way behind schedule? Just because I'm not here doesn't mean you get to pound the pooch." It's like, then I would yell at them for an hour for not, like, we're way behind. I need this shit. Like, we're shooting in 2 days or whatever. So I would get little sleep. So as the days were going on, I was getting more stressed. And so, we got to the edit at the end, and the movie ended up being 78 minutes. So they let me go back and shoot a driving piece to add, because you had to have
Add
an
a little time.
80-minute minimal at that
Sure,
time
that
to
makes
be
sense.
considered a feature or for what they wanted.
Yeah.
So, but our shortcomings were not because of the script or what I did. It was other people not
Yeah.
being able to do what
Stepping
they
up to what they said they could do.
could do.
That's a shame.
Because I remember one grip complaining about we worked 14 hours one day, and I went, "Okay, let me put in perspective for you. It took you 3 hours to light the first scene. 3 hours that I paced almost a trough in the ground. I told you the first 6 shots as soon as we showed up. You didn't wait for me. I waited for you. You want to get home earlier? Light faster. Or do your jobs quicker. It's not because of me we're behind." I had to put it in perspective for him because the director's always a scapegoat that why are we...
Yeah.
In some cases, it is. Like,
Sure.
I worked on 5 Days at Memorial, and we had John Ridley. If you ever get a chance to work with him, he's amazing. The camera stuff, he tells
John
an
Ridley.
entire scene with the camera. He wrote 12 Years a Slave.
Oh my God, man.
I don't even know the name, but I'm a massive fan.
Yeah,
That's
that
one
movie
of his
is-
writing credits. To get him
That's a
to
freak
work
movie.
with him as a director, he's amazing. And then Carlton Cuse, who wrote Lost and whatever was their other director.
Wow.
And then we had a third director, not even in the same league.
Interesting how that happens.
And same thing, we would do over every day. And one of the actors, Michael Gaston, who I love, would go, "So why do you shoot 12 hours?" And her response was, "Well, that's what the studio allows me, 12 hours. He goes, "But why?" He goes, "Don't you like your crew? Don't you like us?"
Can't you
Yes.
shoot in 10?
What do you mean? Yeah, that was his response. Why can't we do this? Because her background was an editor, so she overshot everything.
That's a lack of confidence.
No, it's called lazy directing. You walk in, you have a plan.
That's my point.
If my camera's here and my master's this way, then I automatically know I know what my coverage is. Unless you're doing some fancy opening shot to establish, that's when you do your trick shot, is the opener. Once we get into this, it's medium and close-up. That tells the story. And we do it over and over, but she wouldn't tell them what
It's
she
in front of
didn't
your face
like
there,
or
right.
what she didn't
Sorry.
like or like. Sorry.
Yeah, you can. Hey, you
Oh,
can
I'm
do, you know,
I'm
just-
with you, Andrew. I'm enamored with what you're
No,
saying.
me
and I'm
too.
Not paying
I
attention
hate
to the
even
sound
interrupting you
quality
for
of the
this.
podcast.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
So as a director, it's like basically, again, it's collaborative. When I direct, I'll have my interpretation of a scene and I want you to do it my way. But if you as an actor see it a different way, say, fine, give me it your way.
Of course.
And then when I get in post and I'm putting it together and I'm looking at the flow and everything, I'll decide then. I remember having an argument with the DP. I had a specific shot where I wanted the scene to end with the trunk of a car closing, and it goes to black and takes us, oh, you want to cover it? I'm going, listen, asshat, I'm directing it. I'm editing it. I already know what my cuts are. I am never going to use this other shit, and we're going to waste 2 hours on crap I'm never going to use. So move on. At that point, you, as a real director, you have to go, no, I'm not pandering to your reel for your crap. Like, move on. It's
How do you really feel about that, Randy?
but no, it gets
No,
to
I'm
a
with you, brother.
point you know, all our jobs, it doesn't matter as a stunt coordinator, as a makeup head, you got all these noise coming at you, and you have to learn quickly what to disseminate as good noise and just, you're wasting my time.
Exactly.
And it's like, so either we...
Yeah, that was loud.
It
Jesus.
just sounds like there's more around here than we had.
Sorry about that. That was hilarious.
You know, and you move on. And through your career, if you move into... Like, I like to do everything. I don't ever want to be pigeonholed as just the makeup guy.
Oh, buddy.
I mean, and
100%.
And makeup's weird because when I started, when you said makeup, it had a whole different connotation. But when I would say special effects, oh, that's okay. He does special effects. Suddenly, that was acceptable. I mean, my favorite story was I was on Suits, and I knew one of the actors, a big Korean stunt guy, fighter we had done movies with, and he was playing the bailiff. I went, okay, give me his bag. I'll go touch him up because I'm just visiting, whatever. And the DP's director of photography is behind the thing watching monitors going, why is that grip touching the actor? And
that's funny.
the rest of the team's going, he's not a grip, sir. He's with us. As I have never fit the mold of
Right.
a makeup dude. It's like,
And
I
you
don't know
also
what that- I
don't
don't
fit
know
the
what
mold
that-
of a grip either.
Yeah.
What
hey,
the fuck?
you haven't seen me lift a dolly. It's like,
That's hilarious.
yeah, well, normally I have a beard. I'm more like your dad. But
Yeah.
since the pandemic, I can't stand that mask on my face with hair. It gets
Oh,
way
man.
too hot. I had to shave it off.
Yeah.
Well, mine just goes everywhere.
Well, I
take it off and it's in my
yeah,
eye.
but you don't work the days I do.
That's the truth.
So when
That
you
is
got to
true.
wear that 14, 15 hours every day for
Oh,
5 months,
man,
it's like
I'd walk
I
away.
couldn't stand it.
And
So-
hovering over an actor and all that. Yeah.
Now that it's off, the wife's like, you're not growing your beard back. She hates that stage of being the porcupine and growing it.
Shout out to Barb. No beard. No beard.
So, no, so it shaves a few years off.
Now I know
I got to
this.
use whatever I can to get a job.
I'm there too.
I know this is a little bit off topic or going back a step, but do you have a blooper reel of Sizemore now? Just staring off into space or falling asleep?
The unfortunate when you do those shows, you don't get anything.
Yeah.
You get a credit. That's
I
the only
see.
thing you get.
I see.
You get to say you got to do something, stroke it off the bucket list, move on.
Okay.
So
Well, I'll stroke that one off the bucket list then and move on.
Oh, but I'm watching 2 movies. Bottom Feeder and Being Tom Sizemore.
Yeah, yeah.
well, that's one of them reality things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you still see those?
I don't know. I'm going to look for them, but
I'm
Yeah,
sure
I'm
they
sure
are
it's out
somewhere.
there.
you know,
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
it's funny because something's got to be somewhere, and I'm sure you get this. You mentioned earlier that people will text you and say, hey, Daudlin, I saw you on TV last night. I get it all the time. I have friends call me, not call me, but text me or email, and they'll say, I saw you in the credits of this movie, and I text back, what's the name of the movie? And they'll text back the name of the movie, and I don't fucking remember any of that.
Well, yeah. Or
Like, I don't know. I have no memory of being in some of these films.
well, it's called concussions, but it's okay. Hey, I've seen you fall a few stories and land on cars and stuff. That explains a lot of why you don't remember shit.
True enough. But holy crap, it's so.
Or
funny.
that one commercial where you ran into a wall several times and.
Oh, for Jeff Lowe.
Oh, that was the smoking one.
Yeah, it's a great one, but
anti-smoking one.
yeah, and you wonder why you don't remember shit.
I suppose that's true.
That was a cool commercial.
Or even back in the 80s when we were doing all those stupid movies, you guys got banged up a lot.
Yeah.
Safety was not a priority.
Well, you say it is, and then you just go and do something else.
The
But,
pilot
that's true.
of Night Heat,
Yeah.
I was doing, I called in to do a makeup daily, and half the background didn't show up. So I'm like, I'm not doing squat. And at that time, I'm buff, I'm 18, I've been doing competitive judo and stuff. And they're going, do you want to play a security guard? I look at the woman running makeup. She goes, yeah, fine, fuck, you're not doing anything anyways. Go have fun. So I put on the uniform. I figure I'm just pushing a cart through St. Lawrence Market. No, as it goes, it keeps elaborating. So we're pushing the cart through. Dwayne McLean and I can't remember the other stunt guy. They were like a team. They were always in stuff together. Rob us. I come to, chase them, go out to the stairs on the back of St. Lawrence Market. I'm supposed to get shot at the top, fall down, and as I'm falling, I shoot one of them. Well, I get shot, I slip, I slide down the entire staircase so they get a free stunt and almost take out the camera at the end because I don't know how to stop because you start building momentum.
Yeah, sure do.
Because that's like 4 stories to the bottom.
Yeah.
And that was my inaugural in the stunt. So with Dwayne and that, and it's like...
That's great.
so yeah, I mean... No pads, nothing.
Dwayne's going to be here shortly.
Yeah, I was going to say every time we have one of your friends on, Dwayne gets mentioned.
Yeah, well, he's like the
he's an
grandfather
icon.
is
Fucking
done.
crazy.
He's been forever.
Yeah.
I mean, the only advice they told me was if you do slip, keep your arms in so you don't get hooked on the outside
railing.
rail. Going.
Absolutely.
And I did, but
It's a big
they
deal.
didn't tell. And I kept my back arch. I knew that from judo. So I'm literally hovering the top of the metal stairs. And you're full of adrenaline. And all I can think about is, how do I stop?
You'll stop when you get to the bottom.
Oh, I did, but the camera's right at the bottom.
Well, sometimes it's the dolly that stops you.
Well, I literally was able to stop myself before I took them out. And they're going, that's fucking fantastic. And they couldn't use it because I wasn't in the stunt unit. I wasn't an actor.
Oh, my God.
I was a makeup dude.
Oh, no way.
So I went down the stairs. They got it.
What?
It was great footage,
That's
but they
crazy.
couldn't use it.
Oh, my.
So
That's
that was
crazy.
I mean, I would do little things on shows. I mean, doing a thing for CBC where the actress that was up there to do her makeup, I was her stunt double. They strapped me to an airplane wing and slid me down a snow embankment into a tree.
On an airplane wing.
Yeah, because she was supposed to be the plane crashes and this kid's supposed to be pulling her. And the episode was called Rabbit Pulls His Weight. Anyways.
Why do you remember this shit?
Because of all the gear we had
concussions.
to wear.
Yeah.
Because of all the gear we had to wear. And I had a beard. I mean, again, we're shooting in Beardmore, which is 3 hours north of Thunder Bay, out in the middle of nowhere.
You had a beard in Beardmore.
And in Beardmore. My first beard I ever grew.
Wow.
You see all the pictures. We have the ice floe hanging off
Not
our
everybody can
faces.
say that.
Yeah.
That's wicked.
So I wore a hockey helmet under the hood and a scarf covering my face. They strapped me to the thing. And I went down the hill, and the snow was so deep it kept snagging. They never did quite get what they wanted.
Right.
So I never got hurt, but...
So
but your 20s, you volunteer for stupid
Why
shit
didn't
like
you
this.
pursue a career in stunts?
Because I have a brain.
Oh, well, there you go.
That's true.
I had enough injuries from fighting that I didn't need to And
Right
watching you guys
Yeah.
fall down in the shit you went through, I'm sticking with makeup. It's way easier on the body.
Well, I got to tell you, I was so happy that you were there for us. That was awesome. I think Dwayne is now 82,
Jesus.
and I had him out on Mayor of Kingstown last year. Took 8 huge scripts to the chest. Had to keep falling down on the cement. I had maybe 5 or 6 other stunt guys, young guys out.
Yeah.
All in the same sort of shootout. And
He's following a puddle of water.
yeah, and he wore a pair of elbow pads. And after he did about 10 takes, and after the first take, he took the elbow pads off because he said they were getting in his way. and the other guys are all padded up. It's so funny.
And I bet he didn't complain. I mean,
He didn't complain. He did mention to me about, let's just do this one more time because I'm getting all wet.
yeah, well, the chafing.
But it's no, because
Yeah.
he's the only one falling in a puddle. But 82 hitting the deck, the man is a pro, man. I was so happy to have him out.
one of my favorite things was Dawn of the Den, Shelley Cook. There's a stunt guy who they have to do burns. He's in the full shit with gel and the whole bit. She's got nothing. They just put gel on her. And we met her. No one could do makeup on her. She hates it, except for me. So I get her to a point where she'll accept it. She's okay. And then she goes, give me something to make me memorable when I hit the fence, because I'm just doing gel. I'm going to show that prick how hardcore I am. I'm going to show him up. Okay. So I run to the craft
It
table.
sounds like Shelley.
I get Mr. Noodle, throw some black food coloring in it, some shit, mix this cup of crap, go, here, take a mouthful. She hits the fence, she goes, this black shit with worms go flying all over. She sparks, she lights. She burns longer than Numbnut, who's in full.
Oh, wow.
And after that, I could do anything I wanted. Just like Bronco. They said Bronco is the hardest guy to do makeup on. Another stunt guy. He came in for a day. I go, well, you guys are easy. Bronco likes to talk about himself. So as Bronco talked, I just kept painting. I was only supposed to do it. They said, if you can get him to stage 3, because we had stages of zombies, great. No one can get beyond stage 1. I said, stage 3, okay, no problem. Talk about hockey, talk about everything. I learned a long time ago to listen. Let you talk. I just interject minimally, and I try to instill that in the people who work with me. You're a bartender, basically. Let them get rid of all their diatribe, their garbage, whatever. Don't get sucked into it. Just listen. Feedback occasionally, but paint. Your job is to get them done in the amount of time that's required. So Bronco comes out in full makeup. He's happier than a pig in shit because he got to talk about himself for 2 hours. And they're like, what the fuck? And I'm like, no.
Wow.
That's great.
It's all about
Now, I'll be
perspective.
honest. I didn't know that I got to be hard on getting makeup done. Next time I'm told that I got to go to the makeup show, I'm like, nope.
Show me your books.
Is Randy in there?
No.
Is he? Yeah, I'll do it if he's in there.
No, they're about how to do makeup.
Man, for all the young filmmakers that might be listening to this is unbelievable.
This is a master class, to be
Yeah.
honest, without actual application. But
Well, the whole idea behind the books, my wife had been bugging me for years.
Oh, look at
and
these. They
Then,
look awesome.
then I was complaining that when I'd go on jobs, especially independent films, the young kids didn't know how to do the basics, casualty makeup. They were, trained at Mac or wherever, and they couldn't do basic bruises and stuff, which is the staple of what I do, because
Right.
I've done so many independent films with casualty makeup. That's like breathing to me. That's where I go into my Zen thing, and my hands just go on
Casualty
autopilot.
makeup.
So busting your head, black eyes, cuts, scrapes, all that stuff,
Yep.
freezing you.
yeah,
That's like breathing.
it's
to
pretty.
me.
It's basic to everything.
And it's in everything, even shows with big prosthetics. The
That's what I mean.
Boys, Mayor of Kingstown, half the makeup would have been old school, just general casualty
Yep,
makeup.
totally.
Because it's in every fight film. I mean, if you want to swell a guy's eye closed, but most of the time, you don't have time.
Did you ever see the movie Act of Valor? It was, I'm probably totally messing this up, but it was all the actors in it were Navy SEALs, real Navy SEAls.
Oh, that's a great film.
Yeah, it's a really good film. The dialogue's a little cheese, and these guys obviously aren't actors.
Right.
Well, the one guy says
remember that.
"baby" after every freaking line. It's okay, baby, baby. I got baby. It's all baby. Whatever. It's funny, but overall, this movie is incredible.
Right.
It's actually so well done. The story is great. It'll make you cry, and the action is like top notch.
The action's second to none, man.
But but they have this female that actress that whatever, she plays a character of some kind of spy or something, and then they go and they rescue her and all this. If you remember, she has a swollen eye, and I always think to myself how good this is, how well done this swollen eye is. Of its time, this movie had nailed it when it comes to makeup.
They got someone who knew how to do their job.
But like, what the fuck? Why this movie? This movie just made it was so believable. It was so believable.
But it all comes down to who do you get to work on your film? Who do you listen to? Who do you give the proper resources to do their job? It's about let's face it, you get a film, you get X amount of bucks.
Yeah.
Every department's clamoring for that money. You have to, as a production manager or a producer, figure out who to really allocate stuff to. Now, if it's a period film, the wardrobe department's going to suck up half your budget.
Yeah.
Props
for sure.
is going to suck up a
Totally.
third. Okay, what's left for whatever?
Right.
I mean, obviously, the best film for me, going back to Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, we spent $100,000 just on Illustrator, which was alcohol paint, to paint the zombies, because we were doing 300 to 500 zombies a day. It was insane.
What do you mean by Illustrator when you say that?
It's alcohol paint. So when I paint you, it will last the whole day. It's not like the old days where we used grease paint, which
Okay.
was an oil-based makeup. If you did that,
Yeah, wipe it off.
you'd see where it was hilarious on Memorial. I got to do Robert Pine, Chris Pine's dad. He's from Chips. He played the sergeant.
Oh,
And I had to
cool.
break him down and make him actually look older than he is. He turned 80 on the film. But the character he was playing had rosacea in his cheeks, and we tried to make them look a little bit like their real-life counterparts. And he never had this. He's going, so this stuff on my face, I go, touch yourself. He goes, what? I go, touch your face. And he's like, wow, when did they come up with this shit?
Yeah.
About 15 years ago. He goes, no one's ever used this on me. I go, you can do whatever the hell you want all day long. I'll even add sweat on this. And do not let my makeup inhibit you from doing your job. You let me worry about that. It's
That's
like,
great.
Wow.
You do your acting. I will make
That's
sure you look your best at any given time. I'm not, it's crazy. Since the pandemic, there are individuals who run shows from the truck. They sit in their truck. They never leave. They disperse their people and then shit on them if things don't look the way they wanted. I'm very upfront. I love every aspect of filmmaking. And that means I'm front and present at all times. If you're number one and I'm doing you, you know I'm watching your back. A lot of times, I'm not into this bullshit of touching you up every time they all cut. I'll walk up and go, there's 3 cameras. These are the 3 shots. Super close, medium, wide. Or it's like, I'll come up, it's wide. I can see Bermuda from here. Like, save it. Like, don't pour all your guts into this. Because
That's
anyone
experience.
who knows film knows they use 2 seconds of the master.
100%.
And then we move into coverage. And if it's an emotional scene, and the actors appreciate that because they're not giving everything for every take. They know when to save it. And then I'll come in, okay, this is the money shot. Give everything you got. This is it. And so a lot of time my job is to let them know. On Saw, Samuel L. Jackson hurt himself halfway through the week. He twisted his knee. They had a cable, and he's in a dark corridor shooting. And he's 80, twisted it. And so he was miserable the last few
Is
days.
Samuel L. Jackson 80?
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson's in Saw?
And
What the fuck?
the last
Samuel
one-
L. Jackson has 3 names?
and he was in a lot of pain. And so we're doing a shot, and they only have him for a week. They're blanket coveraging him. And I go in to touch him up, and I start putting blood and stuff on him, freshen him up. He goes, "It's a close-up. What the hell are you doing?" Because I'm doing his hands and stuff. I'm going, "Dude, that camera's a close-up. There's 2 other ones back there that I saw in Video Village.
Too much rum.
No, it's pretty. This Kraken's a killer, eh?
it's the
This new
bees.
Jamaican stuff's awesome.
It's the V's. Too many V's. Video Village. I could see, like, I'm always aware. And so I go, those
Right.
cover
see
you.
this.
I can see, your toenails. And then he goes quiet because he snapped at me. And generally, we've had a great relationship
Right.
up to that. So at the end of the night, when we get in the truck, he was shitty all day. But I'm like, whatever, I'll roll with it. You're quiet. I do my thing. I don't care. He apologized to me
Oh, that's nice.
because I go, my job is to keep you informed and know I'm on top of I know what's going on. Like you see the kids with the headsets, and I have not worn a walkie-talkie in 38 years. Knock wood, I never will. I listen. I know what's going on. I'm telling them what's happening, and they're listening to all the inane natter.
Right.
And the same when we're doing stuff like Memorial, we'd have this huge hospital, and there'd be 300 extras, and I'd look at the idiots touching up people way in the back, and I go, "Come here. What do you see on that screen?" You see 4 actors and 5 background. Why are you touching up the ones way the hell back there? All I care about is what's in this frame. Unless you know something I don't, and the camera's moving, which I haven't seen it move, worry about what's in frame. Like, you look like an idiot when you're running around, and that reflects on me. So it's like, yes, you're not supposed to hang around Video Village, but you can walk by, look, see what each camera's shooting, and react to that.
Every department should be checking that out.
But they don't. They don't train them to do that.
Yeah, I
So
know.
it's part of your job as a head of department is to leave an imprint on the up and coming people.
Absolutely.
And that's part of the
Speaking of
Look.
an imprint, show us the books.
All right.
Hold them up and tell me a bit.
All right. This is the first book. This was our Hurt 'em Real Good.
That's the basics with the
It
bruises.
says second edition.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because I upgraded
Yeah.
it. I'm
Okay.
ready actually for a 3rd edition because the materials have changed so much. I want to keep it current.
Well,
so
I was
we've
going to
been
ask if I
talking.
could buy that one, but I'm going to wait now for the
No,
3rd.
no, you can buy it now. You can get them on Amazon, or we have our own company, TooGruesomePublishing.com.
Too gruesome.
As in TWO, to my wife and myself. She picked the name. Gruesome Publishing.
I'll put it up on the bottom of the screen. Heard
But-
them real good.
Yeah, so Amazon, these are
.com.
sold. We're now international. They've opened the markets. Japan is starting to take my book, so I
Nice.
can say I'm an international author. The whole point behind this book, it was a cookbook. Basically, all the basic casualty makeup from scrapes, scratches, broken noses, bruises, whatever you would come across, we put in one book.
Beautiful.
And it's set up literally like a cookbook. This is stage 1. Here's a list of the materials you need for this, the paint, do this. Stage 2, add this, all the way through to the end.
All right.
And then I wrote this, Real Characters. This was for anyone wanting to make a movie who has no money.
That's everybody.
Pretty much all the characters in this book we made from materials I bought in a dollar store.
Okay.
To
Oh,
show
incredible.
that you could do, there's a headhunter, and he literally looks like one of the characters from Black Panther with all the, using googly eyes, gluing them on, blending them in, painting them. So he looks like he has all that scarification.
This would be a good book for anyone that wants to do something for
Can
Halloween.
Can I see
Yeah.
the book?
Yeah.
And then this one, Real Tips and Tricks, I called up a couple friends and they collaborated because everybody has their own way of doing things.
Oh, wicked, sure.
So Colin Penman, who's a very revered local makeup artist, showed how to do a burn. And he did a gag for, what was that period show where they built everything but the Irish detective? Copper.
Oh, Copper.
Yeah,
Great
I was on the
sets.
first. Yeah, I saw the set to that.
In
Oh
the
my God.
studio?
I never
Great.
worked on it. Yeah, it was
Oh,
amazing.
I was there.
I was on the first
great.
episode. Yeah.
Well,
that was
he did a
wild.
gag where a hooker bites a guy's ear off. So he shows how he did that in here.
Oh, wicked.
And then
Now I'm buying 3 books. Jeez.
Neil Morell showed his version of the same bird, how to do it, and then did
I can't see you.
a ball cap and how to flock it. And flocking is a gun that electrostatically makes hair stay up. So if you do chop, like to do your haircut, if I wanted to do that on a fake head, I would put a layer of glue on the head, Prozaid, and then chop really fine fiber hair and put it in this flocker, electrostatic, and it would put it and it would all stand up. And
Oh,
it
for
looks
God's
like
sake.
real hair. So he demonstrates that. That's in here.
That happens to me when
Yeah,
I
that's
when I
wild.
lick a 9-volt battery.
Yeah. So Matt did the eye gag, and so everybody did 2 makeups. I did the Hills Have Eye guy, and I can't remember what the other
Yeah,
one
no,
was.
it's good.
But
That's great.
But we all did 2 to show, and it shows how to make your own tattoo transfers and stuff. So
Very nice.
I've worked with Indiana a few times.
Mhm.
She's awesome. This is
So-
cool.
So those were people who helped me with the book. They either were models or assisted me while I did the makeup. But as you can see, it's literally takes you step by step how to do everything.
Yeah, this is
Lists
incredible.
Everything. There's like a glossary in the front that lists all the materials from all the makeups at once, and then it's reiterated within the recipe. So literally, my wife said, let's set it up like a cookbook so they're not flipping back
that's
to
a
the
great
front
idea.
and back. So as you're doing it, you literally know what you should have in your hand at the time.
It's a great idea.
So I've had people text me that they were on a show in the mountains in some Romania, and they had the book with them, and they were doing casualty
No kidding.
makeup. Excuse me, sorry. It was a a lifesaver. It helped them, and it's like, and that was my point of giving back, because when you've been in it as long as we have, you can't keep taking. You need to help prepare the people that are going to replace you.
No, absolutely.
And that's in my keys. One of them, she moved to Vancouver, Manek Walmsley. She was to be my protege. She left, and then she had health. Now she's issues in the mom, but she was my replacement. Now I have a new key, same thing. I'm grooming her to take over, because let's face it, at our age, how many years we got left? 10?
Lots.
Well, realistic, 10, 15,
He's
maybe.
very helpful.
Yeah, I know.
He's very helpful.
We're gonna go. Like I said, I'll die on a movie set.
I'm
But,
sure.
I'm sure I will. I will as well.
It's the
because
best.
that's where I want to go. But you still have an obligation to replace yourself with one or at least 2 individuals to
Yeah,
say.
I've got some.
So that's, and these were to, and the information in these is timeless. It doesn't, the materials are current enough. Yes, you can constantly be updating, but you got to wait till you get enough to make it worthwhile to do
Oh,
it.
100%.
Makes sense.
100%. And I
So-
think that anybody that buys these books and actually learns it,
Well, just by opening up the book in general, as soon as you open it up, you can tell that it is laid out exactly like a cookbook. It seems very organized with pictures and everything, and they seem invaluable. It would be insane for anyone not to
so
want to pick
what are the
something like
titles? So people can order them off of Amazon?
Heard 'em real good. Real characters, REEL, like a movie reel,
Yeah.
and real tips and tricks.
Awesome.
that. Cool.
That's great. I'll put it up on the bottom.
Well, Randy, as we're slowly closing up, You want to sign the table?
No, just a second. Don't ask him if he wants to. There's no choice.
Well, do it. God damn it.
Pick a spot anywhere. There's a nice clear spot over there. Whatever, up here. Everyone that's been here so far has signed the table. And as you can see, you're more than welcome to draw a picture.
And you can do it anywhere you want. Everyone picks, obviously, where they're sitting, but
Yeah.
you really can just get up and do it wherever you want.
Yeah, just
don't sign the
the
wall.
people that are listening to the podcast can only hear the scratching of the
That's
Sharpie.
true.
Do I have to do it right this minute? or
Yeah.
Can I think about it?
Oh yeah,
No.
think away.
Yeah, think about it.
All
Yeah.
right, I'll think about what I want to write. All right.
No, absolutely.
So what's going on next? What's in your mind?
I'm developing my own television series. That's
Yes.
my next conquest. It's a show called Bad Penny.
Okay.
It's,
Oh, hey, we've talked about this.
I know. It's the characters will not leave me alone. It's like I never went to film school, so everything I've learned on a movie set. So by reading scripts,
That is film school.
and then I read other books, and
Sure.
I'm good at following things. And actually, a mutual friend of ours I've rekindled with, Stephen Monder.
Oh,
Steve
Stephen.
says
Yes.
hi.
Yeah. Oh, hi.
Well, he's been helping me a lot.
Okay.
And, 'cause
Is he writing?
Oh yeah, he
Oh.
wrote this amazing period piece called "Wind on Fire," which is a lacrosse story, which he's now marketing, and it has
Interesting.
to do with Champlain and a guy who gets sent into the wilderness.
I
and-
haven't seen Stephen in years.
Now, I got to admit,
Other than us getting grayer, he looks pretty much the same.
Oh, is that right?
with respect to Stephen, I also have a movie that I wrote called Wind on Fire.
Really?
But it is a comedy, and it is about putting a flame to your ass when you fart. Sorry, that was
Sounds like
terrible.
it
Sorry,
sounds
keep
like
going.
A short for me, but
Depends on which side you're looking at.
Yeah, this is 120 pages. No, sorry, keep going. That was ridiculous.
so he's been helping me a bit. Like
Jamaican
coaching
rum
me.
is good.
Yeah,
it is. To refine my writing. Because writing, it's amazing. I mean, I've been writing for years, and you look back at the original stuff and going, why couldn't I sell it? And you look at it because it was shit.
Yeah, no.
Oh,
But
I
what's
get
interesting about that, though, Randy, is that everyone's like that.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. I don't care what stage of writing you're at. It's the same.
Well, even going through
True.
old pictures of my makeup and stuff, my Instagram account basically got hacked and taken away from me. So I opened a new one. So I've been going through stuff, looking to post. I'm going, fuck, I got nominated for an award for that show? That stuff looks awful. But also, the problem is my photos are raw. They haven't been treated like production shows, like
Sure.
Cardinal. First season, they added sepia tone to everything. So it changed how my makeup looked.
Sure.
And I was making up knowing that. So the raw photographs that we have for stills are going, okay, it doesn't look that great. Yeah, because there's a whole layer missing that I was working towards. Or even Goalie. Goalie had a different look that they added to it in post. And I'm going, in my stills, I'm going, I don't want to post these. These look like shit.
Well,
But when you see the film, you go, okay, it looks totally different.
stunt guys, young stunt guys will choreograph some kind of a fight, then they'll shoot it in the park with their friends, and then they'll post it on Facebook.
Yeah, preview, yeah.
And but the first thing I want to say to them is, please stop, because it's embarrassing. That said, that same fight shot in a real situation and treated the way it's supposed to and edited would be incredible.
Yeah.
So, yeah, same thing.
So it's like, so people, and the other thing is, like I have pictures from Ginny and Georgia. I have pictures from Lullaby. I have pictures from shows I can't show.
Right. Because they
my
haven't been
phone
released.
is loaded with
As is ours.
300 photographs of things I can't do anything with, because until they actually release them,
Yeah, we're in the same boat.
it's like I moved on. It's like, so yeah. So right now I'm with my wife the way she is, and I'm kind of housebound. I'm concentrating on my writing, and I
Yeah.
really want to get this. So
That's great, though.
I've taken the first 3 episodes and crushed them into a feature kind of thing. We're going to take that approach, because breaking into TV is super hard, and try and sell it as almost like how they did Wolf Cop, how they shot a feature in Winnipeg and they managed to shoot 2 more. So I figure if I can do even the first episode of Umbrella Academy is an hour and a half. So if I could do something like that with Penny.
So you're breaking into a pilot.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
I mean, I have a pilot. I've written the whole series, but I've managed to take 3 episodes, make them one thing now, got rid of some characters. I mean, that's the thing with writing. Writing's an evolution. Things you get married to, you lose really fast. And
Yeah,
you
big
can't.
time.
And just one little change changes everything.
Sure.
As long as you don't lose focus of what it's about. I find the biggest thing about writing is shutting out the noises, trying to figure out who's worth listening to and who's not. And
It's a toughie.
and it's a big racket because you got all these companies. Oh, give me $100, I'll give you coverage. And I find they tell you just minimal to bump it up a bit, but they want you to keep
Exactly correct.
sending in for more and more no's.
Right.
So I'm getting more cynical with old age where everything just seems to be a graft.
Yeah, but
Everyone's just grafting money.
We're both in the same business, and we have a lot of friends. And you know, there are people that out there that know what they're talking about, that read.
But the thing is, okay, even to read a feature, that's an hour, 120 pages,
Yeah, it's a
90,
bitch.
10.
Yeah.
You're asking them to sacrifice 2 hours of their time
Yes.
to go through it and then another amount of time to write you notes.
Yeah.
It's really, you have to be selective who you do it to, and you can't keep
Big
going
time.
back to those people. At least with Steve, we have a rapport. He's interested in what I'm doing.
Right.
And he will help me. Because
Sure.
eventually, I would love to collaborate with him on something because we have the same dry sense of humor. He's actually more wicked. And we get along, and we talk the same language. And
Andrew's written some incredible stuff, and we
but
have
what's
some friends.
great is you two.
No, not
can
me,
bounce.
but we have friends. We have mutual friends, but he's got some producers that are incredible readers, and who love his stuff. And I think that's where you go.
Yeah, I mean, trying to establish those relationships and not abuse them. That's the hard part.
It is. It is the hard part because I do know as a writer that I don't want to read anyone else's shit.
Well, I'll read
Because-
them.
Oh
Well,
yeah, but
yeah, but just
yeah,
to
he-
an
degree.
extent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I get sent crap all the time.
It depends on who's
exactly.
But
asking.
the difference is when someone asks and I give you serious notes with my limited knowledge and you basically blow me off, okay, then it's, or you don't do what I said, then it's like, don't talk to me anymore.
Yeah, why'd you ask?
Exactly. Like, you've never written before. What do you think? You're God's gift to whatever?
Yeah.
Even the most seasoned writer writes shit.
Yeah.
I'm looking, and also it's about who you ask. Like asking your uncle or a close friend who's not in the business. You don't understand what I'm looking for. Criticism.
Oh, no,
wise.
big time.
But that said, most people that if you're a screenwriter and that's your goal,
Yeah.
and you actually learn to write a screenplay and you hand it to a friend, relative, or whatever, who's only read novels,
Yeah.
that's just not the way to go.
Yeah. I mean, I found you can get anyone to look at a pitch package. Carlton Cruz looked at my pitch package and gave me, that's the guy who created Lost. He gave me advice. And it was
Wow.
simple and whatever. But they won't read your script. None of them will.
Why do you
Yeah.
think that is?
It takes too much damn time.
Yeah, and it's too much time for them to bank on the fact that it's going to be any worth it at all.
Well, they don't know you. You don't, not that intimate. We got along on 5 Days at Memorial and hit it off. And I thought it was a big ask. I included it. He only read the pitch, which was, I was ecstatic he did that even for me.
For sure.
But yeah, it's like they're too busy doing their own shit. They don't.
Well, that's the problem. Is that every filmmaker who comes up with a screenplay or a script or an idea has to understand that the person to whom they're taking it to ask if, can you make my movie for me? Can you? They have to understand that that person has to spend 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 years of their lives trying to develop and get your picture to camera when in fact they have way better
Their own
ideas than
stuff.
you do.
Yeah, or they're developing their own stuff.
That's what I'm saying.
Or a producer will go, I'll give it to my reader, and if he can get through the first 10 pages,
Sure,
maybe.
100%.
They're not going to look at it. They don't have the time.
Yeah.
And if you do have a writer friend or you've established, like I did with some of the Cardinal people, to look at stuff, again, you can't keep making changes going, can you look at it again?
Right.
Like you get one kick at the can. So you got to
100%.
make
Yeah.
it up to where
Yeah,
you want.
absolutely.
And hope that the notes they give you are enough for you to get it over the finish line.
Right
But
on.
there's a lot of people out there, and also at the exact same time, you got to balance not giving a shit and trying to get it to somebody. I mean, it is such a hard world to break.
Well, it's like I recently had a guy who had a period film. I go, one dude, period means money.
Yeah.
And it's a very select market. So either you go big or stay home.
Mm-hmm.
And he had some interesting ideas, but the dialogue went on forever and ever. And trying to explain to him, it's like nobody gives a shit about any of this stuff. All this exposition. Or, the actors will convey feelings. You do not write that into a script. It's like, if you can't see it, it shouldn't be here.
100%.
Now, having said that,
Basic stuff.
how much shit do you watch? I mean, there's so much shit.
But it's amazing.
There's a
As
lot
soon
of
as they
shit being made.
Yeah, but it's true.
Yeah.
No, it's like anybody who looks at American Idol, they all think, I can sing that well.
Yeah.
Why an our superstar?
I
And
guess.
half the musicians that are on labels today, live, are shit.
Well, see, that brings me back to what I've said on, I think, 2/3 of our podcasts, is that it's so easy. I mentioned earlier that you and we've shot on film. Remember when we used to change a mag and it took
Yeah.
time, the grips
Yeah.
to go out and have a cigarette?
Yeah,
Now it's just a card.
yeah.
There's no time.
Only the grips. But
Plus, yeah, only the grips. Plus, no offense to grips. Now anyone can shoot a film. These cameras that we're using, an iPhone, there goes the lack of preparation on the part of the director, because he wrote a stupid script.
Yep.
He somehow raised the money. Now he hasn't thought about what he needs to do. The editor doesn't have to think about cutting film. The editor just pushes a button and goes.
Well, that's why they overshoot. You have the worst.
That's my point. Yeah.
To me today, when a director introduces himself, I used to edit. My first thing is we're fucked.
Really?
Because
what is it about
they're
that?
the laziest directors on the planet. They overshoot everything. They do not come in with a shot list.
But see, that goes back to my point when I said that's a lack of confidence.
Yeah.
They overshoot. No, but they overshoot so that when they get into, they can create their movie in the editing
Yeah, but
bay.
that's bullshit.
It is bullshit.
A real director knows shot by shot. You're editing in your head. You get in the room. Yes, things will change. A performance will tweak you a bit if you actually had the luxury of rehearsals. Most of the times you don't in independent, low-budget feature shit. But to overshoot it, that's unconscionable. You know what you need. It's like, if you have a basic understanding of how it works, why are we shooting from every fucking angle in the room?
Now, that I agree with that to a point, in that you should never direct what you feel you're going to edit, because there's moments that you need, and then there's,
Like if you're doing an emotional scene, you're going to shoot loose, you're going to move in, you're going to move in. You'll basically do three sizes. Between the punctuation will be the close-up for the really strong stuff, and the weaker stuff will be the looser stuff. I mean, it's directing 101. If you know that, you can direct, but shooting it from this side, shooting it from this side, shooting it from that side. It's like, come on, you're never going to use any of this shit. I mean, a classic example on the guy's got a shot from here, and the camera's behind the guy's shoulder, pointing the gun. I'm going, what the fuck are we doing? All I see is a thumb in the middle of the guy's face. And we did it for 3 takes. And I'm looking at the producer. Seriously?
Did it make the movie?
No. The next morning, because we're in the same location, we're shooting it. The camera's now over there shooting this way. And I'm looking at them going, what the fuck? And this guy supposedly was an editor. They go, we know he's a dick, but his movies make us money, so we let him do whatever.
Oh, well.
I'm going, well, don't you give a shit about the rest of us? Like, come on. Looking in the monitor, and all I can see is the guy's thumb, and not even the barrel of the gun, and it's blocking the other actor's face. It's like...
Honestly, I thought that an editor
Common
would...
sense would tell you that this is unusual. Why are we even doing this?
Yeah, you would
I
think.
thought an editor would... Yeah, like I thought it would literally be the opposite.
No, he had moments of magic where there were actually really good cutaways, but the other 20% was
Fascinating.
just like, dude, do I got to... Why is the makeup guy telling...
That's amazing. Well, speaking of that, has the makeup guy come up with what he's going to sign on my table?
Oh, I'm too busy talking.
Yeah, you
No,
haven't,
no,
you
it's
haven't
all
thought
good.
about shit.
No, I haven't. All right, give me a minute. What, you got to film this too?
No, we got to go to dinner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, we don't have to technically be on during this moment, but yeah.
No, I need to be. Just
I'm reading what they wrote.
no, don't fucking copy.
I'm not. That's why I don't want to copy.
Fucking writers.
Right there below Mariah.
From one Randy to another. Way to use both sides of the fucking table. For those listening, the table's split into two pieces. Now I have to hang both pieces on the wall
That's right.
together.
Absolutely. Hey, yeah, Shawnee did it right there.
did it too.
I'm going to get a good
Thanks,
picture
Randy.
of this at some point. Yeah, Randy, thank you, man.
Great conversation,
Thank
buddy.
you. This was fun.
This was
Yeah.
awesome. This was awesome.
Well, whenever you want to hear more bullshit, let me know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely. No, hey man, I can't thank you enough for spending a couple hours in the car coming to my house to have a conversation with my son and
Anytime,
I.
brother. You know
Yeah.
I'd come.
No, I know you would. I love it.
It's
Thank you.
awesome.
Think it's awesome.
Hey, us old war horses have to support each other.
Absolutely, buddy. And if you fucking call me old one more time, I'm coming across the table.
Yeah, he is older than me, just for the record.
All right, we're good. You good?
I'm good.
You good?
We're good. Thank
Awesome.
you.
All right.
Okay.
Randy, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, cut it, D.